Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. I'm in Oxford and I'm heading for the Basis Project conference. And this is what Miles Johnston, the organiser, calls a micro conference. And this is going to be held in Devizes, Wiltshire. Now I'm going to go there now and I'm looking forward to it because Miles's conferences are always really great. They're always full of life and they're full of camaraderie and fun. Every single time. And of course fascinating information. I am speaking at this particular conference. I'm booked as a speaker. I prepared a talk. Now the thing about being a speaker at Miles's conferences, right, you never know exactly how long you're going to be speaking for. That's a feature of the Basis Project conference. This is not a criticism, it's just the way Miles does his conferences, and indeed it doesn't take anything away from, as I said, the enjoyment of the Basis Project conferences that I just talked about, so I'm not complaining there. So I've prepared a talk with a few slides. I don't know how long it's going to be, so I'm going to have to kind of make it up as I go along, which shouldn't be a problem. I'm quite good at that. I've written books after all. So it's a bit of a dank, dismal, slightly chilly morning in November, but let's get our arses to Wiltshire and let's meet up with Miles. And then we're going to go to the Basis Project mini-conference. There's High Wycombe, over High Wycombe Paranormal. It's very foggy out there. Of course, regular viewer, you'll know this is the coast of London. And I told you I was going to Miles's conference in Devizes, so why am I going to London? A bit out of my way, isn't it? Well, it's like Sufon, all will become clear.
The next train will
I'm inside this human anthill known as the London Underground. I just couldn't get on the last train because it was just too full. There's a guy just basically herding people now saying, move over there, stand behind the yellow line. So it's like being on some kind of racetrack. And I'm standing right by the edge now. I don't like doing that. Londoners, you can see Londoners, they're bloody fearless, but you know, I'm not into this sort of thing. There's another train coming now anyway, maybe I'll get on this one. I'm on the train now, but I've only got to go one stop, then I've got to change trains for another line. Funnily enough, this one's comparatively empty. The last one was almost full, this one's comparatively empty. Weird thing. It's not a good Saturday lunchtime. It's not a good time to travel down London. It's just so busy. But hopefully I won't be here long. Okay, I'm on a different train now. This is the Piccadilly line. Just left Gloucester Road. I'm actually headed for Heathrow Airport. I'll explain why when I get there. It's really hot in here. I took my hat off because it's just so hot. And I got on, it was literally shoulder to shoulder sardines. Now it's sort of opened up a little bit, as you can see, so it always does when you get out of the city centre towards the north, outskirts. In a few more stops it'll go above ground. Okay, I'm on the same tube train now, heading through West London, which you can see behind me through the window. I'm actually heading for a station called Hatton Cross, which is the last station before Heathrow Airport, where I'm meeting Colin Wolford, my good friend. That's it. It's a bit of a long way around, like I said, but then we're going to go to Miles's place. Oh, it's Hatton Cross, here I am. And my train pulls away into the tunnel. The train went underground again, just before it leaves Hounslow East. I've now got to pop outside and meet Colin. Colin's picking me up from here. The reason Colin's picking me up is because he had to work, and so basically, he could have last time he picked me up from Oxford, and he actually went all the way to Oxford, and then we went to Miles from there. But it's a bit out of his way, and I thought, what the hell? I'll come meet him here. It's much more fun for him, for me. Okay, way out. Hope I've got enough on my oyster. See how foggy it is. See that the cloud is very low here. Perfect plane spotter's place, this Hatton Cross. Although not on a day like this. I've got to wait for my good friend Cole Bahar, who's on his way. I don't know exactly where he is around here, but I'll have a walk around, see if I can find him. Yeah, so it's a bit of a dog leg, I suppose. I mean, I could have just sort of like, I could have even said to Colin, you know, I'll go to Reading, you can pick me up there, because the M4 goes to Reading. We're going along the M4 motorway, but you know, it's nice just to shoot the breeze with Colin, and this gives us more time to do so. So yes, it's a nice thing to do, I think. You know, that's what I go to these events for. You know, socialising. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. First we've got to do is get some supplies, and one of those is coal. Miles has like a coal heater in his house, and so we need to find somewhere we can buy coal. I mean, I don't use coal. I mean, I did have an open fire in one of my houses, but don't use coal very often. So seems to be no contacts. Oh, Colin's here. Lay-by, right, okay. Look, I've got some messages and my phone's doing nothing. Hang on. Got some messages from Colin. So we've got to try and find him now. Lay-by, okay. Oh, okay, cool. Just pull up on left of station Lay-by, right, okay. Let's see if I can find the Dark Crusader wherever he is. Oh, there goes another one. There goes another one, right at the end of the runway, yeah? Oh, that noisy thing. Okay, let's try and find my good friend Colin. He's around here somewhere. So just walk around the station and he'll be here somewhere, I'm sure. It's in a lay-by. Oh dear. But I have heard that. So I mean, this is going to be quite an exciting conference, I think, because we've got like quite a lot of some of the people are like kind of secret. Now they were not people I know, but they were kind of secret. In fact, to begin with, I was the only published speaker. I was the only speaker who was published, and all the others were like secret. Can you see him anywhere? I can't. Well, Colin, where are you? I'll keep walking around here. I'll see you come out now. Nearly done the whole circuit of the station. All the other speakers were kind of. They're not people I've actually heard of, but Miles said they're very high level. There's a lot of security issues associated with them. In fact, I see him. I'm trying to call him, I think. There were some issues associated with their secrecy. And that's been a bit of an so that's all right. Colin Miles didn't say anything. Now, if you watch the week before last, the Panwo show, I actually interview Miles, and we talk about this sort of thing. Another plane taking off. Let's go and find our Cole. All right, he's along here somewhere, I'm sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I found Colin. Here he is. Your friend, the guy you
I haven't been abducted. I haven't disappeared.
That's good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, we had to walk around, but I did find him again. Everything in London is difficult to find. But we're heading now. We're going to head now westwards on to Wiltshire. There's the old airport over there. You see a couple of planes, and we're going to meet up with Miles at his place and get some coal and some other things. It's a wet, dismal, rather foggy day. It's November 2019, which is Blade Runner month. It's Blade Runner. It's Blade Runner month.
What does that mean, Blade Runner?
You know, in Blade Runner, it's actually set. It's 98. I think it was made in 1981, 1982. Set in November 2019. So it's a good job we're not in Los Angeles. Otherwise, we would have to dodge the replicants as well, and we don't want that.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
We don't,
I should know that.
So,
did you see the film, the recent one?
No. The original was. I just had a bit of a principled moment because the original is so classic. Oh, so we are now going to try and... Well, does this thing fly, Colin?
Well, you know, sometimes it does seem like it's almost flying, but I have to be honest, it hasn't quite got the anti-gravity technology. I'm still waiting for that to be fitted, unfortunately. I don't know what they're playing at. It's been 75 years, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's... I remember in Blade Runner, you see, they are flying cars. And a lot of sci-fi is flying cars, but of course, they had... I mean, a lot of like futuristic visions from the past, of the present day, include things like flying cars. I mean, you see...
Harry Potter's car.
Hoverboards.
Harry Potter's car flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Was that a Ford Anglia or something?
It was a flying Ford Anglia, and it flies using magical powers, but sci-fi is always technology based, but of course the technology stuff is real, but we haven't got it yet. We just haven't been given it. It's been classified anyway.
Been denied us.
Yeah, that's a bit of a preview for my talk tomorrow anyway, so I'll be going into that tomorrow. Yes. So I'm going to be speaking tomorrow. Yeah. But,
I didn't know. What, we got a title for your talk then?
Yeah, ET Disclosure and the Secret Space Program.
Oh, okay. Because that is the theme of the conference.
Yeah, so I thought I'd basically do something similar. I've maybe planned it roughly because, as you know, with Miles, you never know how long you're going to be speaking if you're doing a talk. That's just the way Miles does things. It's not a criticism; it's just the way Miles does things. And so I don't know exactly how long I'm going to be speaking. So I've done I've put together a speech with some slides, but I'll have to play it by ear. I think I'll play it by ear. Okay, so we're going to head off now, and we'll keep you posted of anything interesting we see on the journey. Any UFO crashes, crop circles,
usual,
something similar like that.
The usual sort of things you see on that.
Yeah, we always come across these
points
things.
of interest, Stonehenge. Maybe.
Yeah. We're making good time, ladies and gentlemen. Colin and I have just driven down the M40 into Berkshire. We're now heading. We're near Marlborough now, and we're heading towards Devizes. So this is the lovely old route that we're all so familiar with, and it's really picturesque. So I'll film some of it actually for you.
Shame the weather's not.
Yeah.
It's a bit grey, isn't it?
It's not very nice weather, unfortunately, so we might not be able to see much. In fact, we went past this tower, like a mast, and you can't see anything above like about a couple of 100 feet up. So the cloud is very low. And I noticed that with the wind turbines as well. They were like spinning, and you couldn't see the spinny bit.
Might have been a tripod.
Yeah, we've been to the War of the Worlds. Yeah. I don't know many of you've seen War of the Worlds, but it's. I mean, I've seen like the one by Spielberg, which I didn't think was very good. The one with Tom Cruise.
Can't beat you. The original.
Well, this is odd because this latest adaptation is the first one which is in the correct period, because the book was written around about the turn of the 20th century, 1898, I think it came out. Same year as the Aurora incident, interestingly. But it's kind of like this is the first one set in that period, so it's on the BBC. I might watch it. But I don't know if it's like.
I remember the 80s one.
If it's really, really annoyingly politically incorrect. I remember that. I only remember one with.
No, I don't know. It wasn't that great.
Yeah, I remember there was one in the 50s with James Stewart.
Oh, wait, am I thinking of something else? I always get confused sometimes.
And there was one in. Of course, there was the one in the 2000s with Tom Cruise. It's a nice straight. This is a Roman road along here. Oh my god, it's really straight.
Might see a ghost or something.
I might have a Boudica moment. I'll let you know if I'll give you a due warning if I'm going to have a Boudica moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not yet.
Give me a warning as well.
I will. I will.
I'm not sure. How does that manifest?
Well, I play the guitars like and I go, walking along here like this on a straight road. This symbol of Illuminati.
Go into full berserker mode or something.
Yeah. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that wood. You can't see how low the fog bank is and the clouds.
Hiding all the other ships up there, maybe.
Oh, maybe they are. Maybe if they are, I'll make sure I'll film them. If I get a chance to film them, I will. But look, it's. I mean, normally when we drive along here, this is a really lovely scene. I think I've shown it you on previous videos. But these downs here, I mean, Peasemore's over there somewhere where the secret base is, and you look out for things like air vents and stuff like that. And so we're now heading towards Wiltshire and Devizes. But excuse me.
About half hour.
Oh, might have a little sleep. Colin's been yawning a bit as well.
Early shift.
Yeah.
Up since 3.
Up since 3 at the airport. Colin works for a airline, shall we say. Yeah, look over there. That in the nice weather, that's a beautiful view over there. That's we've been putting the world to rights, talking about all kinds of things, skeptics, UFO videos, UFO movies.
We're at the end of a decade. A lot of people don't realise we're at the end of a decade.
That's right. Not only is it Blade Runner month, but in a month's time it'll be 2020, and
all sorts of weird things are happening.
Will the third decade of the 21st century be some kind of catalyst for major change? I mean, because of course, major change appears quite randomly. I mean, it's as you know from watching my videos. 2016.
We know we got the election. We've got the impeachment.
Boris.
QAnon going on. We've got potential UFO stuff cropping up. Who knows what 2020 will bring?
We don't, do we? It's all a mystery.
Exciting. I think it could all be really interesting. It might all kick off this year. I know people keep saying that about things.
Yeah. We said that so many times. I mean, sooner or later we're going to be
especially
right.
with things like Prince Andrew and all that scandal.
Precisely.
Because that's really a good gauge of how things. They're no longer controlling. Once people have lost faith in the whole royal, illusion and bullshit, then we're in some sort of wonderland of.
I can't imagine this happening just a few years ago. I mean, the fact this happened now is just so incredible. I mean, as you know, I haven't covered Prince Andrew really in detail. Basically because I've been ill. So I would have done a live stream or something, but I was really ill when this sort of broke out, and I had diarrhea and everything. I was in a terrible state, so I didn't do anything.
Sure, but Prince Andrew's got a bit of that as well.
I bet he's shitting himself. Yeah, I mean
because none of them you can't ask a quote. Comment from any other. Then finally they've all gone very quiet, because I know they're going to be all asked about it. That's the funny thing. And so, what can you say? You can't say anything because he's pretty much banged to rights.
Oh, he's
in lying on TV anyway.
Oh, he's as guilty as a puppy sitting next to a pile of shit.
Whatever he's done over at Epstein. I can think of some bad things, but I mean, that interview. I mean, that was just absolutely gold. It was so incriminating. I mean, obviously I haven't covered this in detail, but do check out my latest interview on the Kev Baker Show. Check out the latest Third Rail Radio, where I have covered this. And I'm sorry I didn't do it on her panel on TV, but I was really ill. But I mean, you saw it yourself. You're going on about, I have a perfect alibi. I was at Pizza Express. What? Prince Andrew goes to Pizza Express? I know, and I don't think one person has actually backed up that story. Not least anyone from Pizza Express. I mean,
you'd think there'd be a plaque on the wall.
You would kind of remember that day when Prince Andrew came into your pizza when you were...
I mean, I'll tell you what, right, when this happens, I mean, the company would be on the company's website, there'd be plaques, it would actually be there, Pizza Express by royal appointment.
I just think he's so naive.
His Royal Highness,
They've led such a privileged lifestyle that they just, and so they're so naive, they just think they can pretty much say anything and people will believe it, but...
it's just absurd, and all that stuff about, I don't sweat. Because Virginia Roberts said I was sweating when I was dancing with her, but I don't sweat. I bet he doesn't when he fucking shapeshifts. Maybe he's dropping a hint there, isn't he?
A lot of people like that,
It's odd. I mean, he said, I haven't sweat since the Falklands War because of all the things. No. He was flying his helicopter behind enemy lines, picking up people in the life raft. There was no... he's not... he's this whole thing... He's not a hero.
He's not done nothing of his life, really.
No, so... I mean, but the fact, it is true, Colin, right? I mean, and this happened in the middle of a decade. It happened 2016, just a random year in the middle of the decade. But if such catalytic and catalysing change, catastrophically catalysing change, not catastrophic, eucastrophic, as J.R. Tolkien used to say, if such eucastrophic and catalysing change can happen in a single year, in the middle of a decade, and can lead basically to what we have now, who knows what 2020 will bring?
I think the whole, because once the impeachment thing's thrown out, which I think it definitely will be.
It's ridiculous.
But there's nowhere else for them to run, and because QAnon's come back, if you be following that, then it looks like that's the final hurdle, and then once these people are shown to be lying and betraying their country, then that's pretty much the end of the democratic Republican system, or at least the Democrats. I mean, I don't know where it goes from there, but I mean, that will actually shatter the whole of America. I mean, they're practically almost at, if you listen to watch all the comments and then the infighting, and they're practically at a stage of civil war between people who, are either pro or, pro-Trump or against him. So I mean, the whole thing's polarised, just as it is here with the Brexit and stuff. And so, what happened? So regardless of what happens with Brexit, I mean, there'll still be people absolutely throwing their toys out the pram either way. And,
Brexit is a done deal. I mean, by that I mean that the effects of Brexit has happened already. So whatever happens now, I mean, there's no good way out for the government. Absolutely no good way out for the government. Just going to turn the camera around because we're going to Marlborough, which is a lovely place. We had a conference here a few years ago. But it's funny that the same sort of things are happening on both sides of the Atlantic. Because you have Brexit over here and Trump over there. And that's why my chant is Brexit, Trump, Brexit, Trump, Brexit, Trump. But QAnon is back now, which is quite good. I mean, I'm pleased to see Q. I know not everyone believes in Q, and I mean, I personally do. I've explained why in videos, but it's the impeachment thing is absolute rubbish.
That Schiff looks like he's on drugs with his wide eyes.
Him and Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi, they were a horrible trio of little creeps. And Trump is going to walk all over them. He's going to make Schiff his pants, as the joke goes.
Schiff, as he calls it.
I mean, I reckon Styx Hexenhammer has done a really good analysis of the impeachment on YouTube, on BitChute. He's a great guy. I like Styx. And he says it was started just for publicity's sake, and it's got out of hand, and they don't know how to do with it now because they know it's not going to carry. They know they're just doing this. They're wasting taxpayers' money. They're wasting their time. They're wasting the president's time, and they know very well that it's just this, and it's distracting from Epstein. People aren't talking about Epstein now. Everyone knows he didn't kill himself. Everyone with half a brain, or if you're a skeptic, the skeptics are still in denial about it. Oh, it's ridiculous. I listened to Skeptics Guide to the Universe, and they go, "Oh yeah, Epstein." That's Steve Novella. Epstein killed himself. Yes, he did. He killed him. And see, but the conspiracy theorists are coming out of the closet again, like they always do. I'm like, yeah. But Colin, it's exciting. It's an exciting time. Because, and I'm going to talk about that. My talk tomorrow is going to be kind of about that.
Because I don't, it's like they couldn't win either way. Even if he was still alive, it'd be bad news.
Oh,
but then it doesn't matter if you get rid of one person, because then you've got that Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's up to her. I mean, she's done a runner somewhere.
You'll have to kill them all.
Well, exactly. And then the more people you kill, obviously, the more incriminating it is. So it's actually, a point where you just can't...
When do you stop crying out coincidence? I mean, if Ghislaine Maxwell gets killed, and Virginia Robert Jeffrey gets killed, and then you have to kill Prince Andrew, they're all going to have heart attacks.
They're using the methods that have served them well for hundreds of years or whatever, but sadly it reaches its shelf life, unfortunately, where it all starts catching up with you. And
but it's a sign of how the times have changed, because this essentially, Epstein was prosecuted in 2008 for child trafficking. It was a less serious charge, but he got 13 months in an open prison.
It's just the arrogance that they think that it will just disappear. And
my bloody dad, he says, "Oh, I wish Brexit would go away. I'm going to vote Lib Dem because they're going to make Brexit go away." And I says, I said to him, and I mean, this has driven a wedge between us. I said, "Dad, do you really think Brexit this is just going to go away? Do you really think you can just say, all right, forget the referendum, we're revoking Article 50. Right, everyone get back to normal. Everyone go back to normal. Go back to what you were doing before." Do you? I said, "How can you be so naive? Yeah. You sound like Joe Swinson. How can you be so naive to think that's going to happen?"
Yeah.
We're getting close to the Marlborough School now, which is like a boys' boarding school.
This is where one of the conferences was.
Yes, a few years back. I did video it. It was in here. It was in this. It was in this school. This is a boys' boarding school, which you hear horrible stories about. Yeah, we are. It's
but child sacrifice.
Yeah, and all the other things that kids. There's some kids there. What do they go through? I mean, good-looking young boys in a school like that. You know what they have to do for the older boys?
Well, didn't that?
Oh, it's horrible.
Lord Bramwell, didn't he live out this way? The dodgy character who I reckon probably is guilty as sin.
Oh, look, they got this thing like in Oxford, Bridge of Sighs. Yeah, definitely. That's right. He was.
And Ted Heath, didn't he?
Ted Heath was
Salisbury area.
Yeah.
I mean, all these people, the close army.
Yeah. school. There's Merlin's Mound is near here, and that is where we had our conference. Merlin's Mound is what Maria Wheatley talks about. There it is. There's Merlin's Mound, a big prehistoric barrow. See all the trees there. That is the place Maria Wheatley says H3O comes from. That's the special energised water.
Oh, wow.
And you get H3O from other places. Do you know you can get H3O from Bushmills whiskey?
Put me down for a large one then.
Let's buy a bottle. Yes. That's an excuse any excuse to buy a bottle. I'll probably get one of those little. I won't get a full size one because it's about 30 quid, but I might get like a small one, and we can feed Miles some H3O. He'll be very, very pleased about that. But yeah, I mean, I call it. I think time that as that song goes, the times they are a changing. Was it Bob Dylan?
Well, there's also the saying 2020 vision, and I know that doesn't quite necessarily I don't think that's ever meant to apply to 2020 the year itself, but
that's excellent.
At the other, it does kind of
done, Colin.
It can mean that it has some higher meaning, like maybe in the same way that 2012 had a meaning. Maybe things are happening, and
that is brilliant.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, 2020 refers to it's an optician thing. It's to do with your eyesight. Apparently, if you can, I don't know what it is. You can read if you can read something 20 centimeters or 20 feet or something.
Really when the whole cabal starts coming apart,
yes.
2020.
Yes, I mean, and we could say this is the 2020 vision year. I mean, I'm glad you thought of that because David Icke will think about it if you don't. But David Icke will nick it off you now, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure.
David Icke will. If you hear it from David Icke, right, you heard it from Colin first. Colin coined it.
2020. Well, you wonder if people haven't done more about.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there'll be a lot of conferences 2020.
Well, yeah, I
don't think.
Who knows? 2020 could be the new 2016. You never know.
2020, 2021.
But we literally are living in a different world than we were before 2016. We literally are. I mean, the 2016 effect is real, and I'm going to have a little bit of a pop tomorrow at a couple of people, humorously. Who take a slightly more dour and I think negative angle on this whole thing. But in my talk, I'm going to bring up this whole issue to do with 2016 and how I do believe it is a change. It is a fundamental change. It's so many things have come to light. It's Brexit, Trump, Epstein, UFOs.
I think the main important thing is you just can't go back to what was on the table before. We've moved on, and it's almost as if certain pieces have been removed from the chessboard, and we're in a sort of end game sort of scenario. There's only so many pieces that are left.
Yeah.
Especially with people like George Bush, who was, I think, didn't he strangely die last Christmas? And
he did. Yes.
Or December. And it was keeping stuff. Usually, I mean, there's been rumours that maybe this month there might be some false flags just to warn people. I know that you're probably used to it all now, but also that there's supposed to be, is it December the 12th, the
general election?
December the 12th for the general election, but also the papers or something that Trump. There's some one of those things.
Oh, is this something that Q talks about? The papers being issued or something?
Something to do with that. So there may be some. So there may be some big things going around those dates, 10, 11, 12 December.
I'll ask our friend Kitty is very knowledgeable about Q, so I'll ask her.
Yeah.
She might even be at the conference. I don't know, but I know that something big is bound to happen because
they'll throw their toys out the pram if they don't get their way. Basically, they'll seek to just.
Well, as far as I'll cover the election in more detail in a future video, but basically, if you live in a marginal seat, go along to your polling station and keep a good lookout for any kind of fiddling.
Yeah.
Also, there's something like you mentioned, false flags. I think we could see within the next 6 weeks the death of a senior member of the royal family, and it's not necessarily Prince Andrew.
No.
It may be announced that Prince Philip has died.
Yeah.
Because I think he's dead already. I've got a feeling
that's why, and that will at least get their sympathy back on their side, won't it? I mean, if the Queen was the croaky,
if the Queen was croaky, the election would be cancelled. There'd be a week of official mourning. Yeah. Hey, we're in Avebury. We're heading towards Avebury now. Oh yeah, I mean the thing about the Queen, I think it could even be the Queen herself popping off, and of course this may not be when they really die. I mean these people often die when their deaths are announced differently. They die before or after the official death is announced.
You need to do is to throw a major celebrity, in front of the bus,
Yes, a living Jimmy Savile.
Some big scandal involving a celebrity, especially if it involves some sort of child.
Yeah.
Taking the heat off the others and that.
It could be that this is what Prince Andrew was served as, because you may have noticed that with Prince Andrew, for example, the photo of him with Virginia Roberts Giffey, she's 17, so she's not.
No.
I wonder if there's some more photos of him when she was younger.
Wow, this is what people have been saying. That the whole reason he did the interview, because people think, well, why would he do that? And everyone's saying, well, it's because they know that there's some stuff going to come out, and he has to get in front of the story basically before it breaks. And I think either way, he's screwed basically.
Oh, he was completely and utterly all over the place. I'd love to see Peter Hyatt, Richard D. Hall's mate. And to analyse his body language and words, because I bet he'd take him to pieces.
I don't see anyone questioning the Queen bringing up one of her sons in such a way that that she can take some of the blame for it. Because I don't see that happening.
Well, the royals are all perverted.
Well, exactly.
Read Winston Churchill's autobiography where he talks about his upbringing and about the abuse and things like that, and the fact that he never saw his family, that his parents never loved him, and things like that.
Oh, we've got Sylvia Hill, did we just?
I don't think we're not there yet. I'll keep a lookout for it. But anyway, I'm laughing again about this Pizza Express thing. I mean, you can take slumming it too far, can't you? I mean, wasn't the best thing to use with all the pizza. Yeah, I mean, if it said like some posh hotel, I'd believe it. But Pizza Express is where the proletariat like me and Colin, that's where we eat out. It's where you get like a 10-inch pizza for like £12 or something. It's like, do you think Prince Andrew be seen dead in a place like that? And then he said, I don't know this. Oh, do you reckon? I don't know this. I don't know this woman. I don't remember this photograph being taken. The photograph was taken in April 2001. He's there. You can distinctly recognise him. She's like 17, so she's just over the age of consent, luckily. But she said she knew him already, and they do look very friendly, don't they?
The trouble is, if you do sort of back them up, it then incriminates you. So that's probably putting people off, because as soon as you sort of do back someone up, then
Yeah. Well, this is the position that Virginia Roberts Giffey's in, because she could be charged for trafficking herself. But I think she should be entitled to immunity. I mean, because if she delivers what she promises, right, puts all the big boys on the plate, Clinton, Andrew, Richard Branson, any of the others who've been accused, if they're guilty and she gives them and she brings them to justice, yeah, we could say, all right, Virginia, you've made up for it. Do you know what I mean? Because I did an entire live stream on Jeffrey Epstein. I brought this point up. I did talk about Virginia Roberts Giffey and whether.
And so far, all we know is about these supposedly, underage sex. But I mean, the thing they're not talking about is possible child sacrifices as well, bodies, going missing, and underground facilities on that island in the Caribbean. And apparently, if you follow the Q stuff, I mean, they've actually got the film. Because apparently Epstein, he filmed everything because everyone was compromised, the celebrities and royalty and stuff. They've all compromised in various ways. So whether these films have been collected by the white hats, whatever. Then
I hope so. I do hope so. I mean, it's Epstein dying is just such a giveaway, because they knew. I mean, there was all kinds of jokes going around about how Epstein would never stand trial, and Bill Clinton. I'm very sorry about the upcoming suicide of my friend Jeffrey Epstein. And of course, when he commits suicide, who cares? But that's got to be the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you mentioned the underground bases and things like that, and that's that is going to blow. I mean, when the whole thing comes out,
especially the symbolism. I mean, that's another thing. It seems to have some real dark images.
Yeah, when the whole thing comes out, people will just be collapsing in the street and weeping. Now, this is Pusey Vale, and it's a beautiful place, the Vale of Pusey, and it's absolutely beautiful. Normally, you can't hardly see it now, but in good weather, it's beautiful.
When they say the word veil, I always think of the other expression.
Oh yes,
as in the hidden veil. So I kind of feel like maybe it has a double meaning of that. There is some sort of.
You're in good form today.
I think
you're in good form, mate. You really are.
Must be because I'm close to falling asleep, but no, it's like it is that veil between worlds, and obviously this area is seen as because of the crop circles and all that.
This is the heartland of crop circles.
So could be dealing with like how the veil they talk about the thinning veil during Halloween and things like that, but also I think there is probably some other portal or window to another world. Yeah.
And of course, Mr. I'll get in my drawer now today. I'm going to film some crop circles. Matthew Williams lives around here too. I don't know exactly where he lives. He lives somewhere near here. In a minute, you'll see a beautiful spot. It's not. We haven't passed it now, but there's a copse of trees, and it's because if you ever read the book Dark Moon, Apollo and the Whistleblowers, or you ever see the Mars Mysteries, right? You'll know this because it may actually even be hidden in the fog. But it's actually, that there's like this whole area is basically a mirror, a 14:1 scale reproduction of the Cydonia complexes on Mars. As amazing as that might seem, and how the hell it happened, I don't know. But the monuments are all laid out according to the same plan. And Richard Hoagland, David Percy, Mary Bennett, they've proved it, I think. They've proved beyond doubt that that's the case. So if I see the copse, I'll let you know. But it's basically the copse actually signifies like the entrance to the DNM pyramid on the big scale there.
I think the Americans would probably appreciate the hill fog, as a traditional sort of image of England, having fog rolling around the hills. And,
oh yes, I bet they will. Yeah, I bet the Yanks will love it. It's just how they see Britain all the time. I don't know what Steve Mumbling was.
They still expect that in London though. When you go to London, they expect it to sort of be like pea soup type. You can't see through.
Well, Robert Frost and all those guys who worked at Area 51, and they were burning the chemicals, and it got them. It made them all sick, and that's when they sued the government, and that's when Area 51 was first mentioned officially. You know what they used to call the smoke that came off the chemical pits when they were burning these toxic chemicals? They called it London fog.
Oh, that right.
And it was inhaling this London fog that made them ill, which is why how they got sick. Yeah, definitely. But it's it's I want to. Steve Mumley will probably go something like, where I am, it's sunny 24/7, 365 days a year. But Ben Emlyn-Jones, being silly and believing in stupid things, has to live in a cold, wet country. What a fool he is. Well, yeah, something like that. I think the cops might actually be in the fog, so we won't have seen it. But I will continue. I'll just keep looking around. That's a lovely house there, isn't it? Look, that's almost like a Dutch house, farmhouse there.
Well, it has a big underground facility underneath it.
Oh, I'm sure they're growing aliens in vats as we speak. Yeah.
This guy's there's a farmhouse where there's an actual military base underneath.
Oh, I'm sure there are a few like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if a mothership comes down from the sky. If Belfast BAP, if you're watching, it's just up your street, that sort of thing. But yeah, a mothership might appear in the clouds. Look at that cap in that family.
The phenomenon, the will-o'-the-wisp. What is that then? What would people talk about will-o'-the-wisp?
This is supposedly an explanation for UFOs.
Oh, is it?
Especially the sort of low-lying balls of light. Look at that. Sorry, surrounded by a fence. That's an underground base. Oh. Anyway, yeah, especially the kind of like low-lying, close to the ground balls of light type UFOs. Like you see a Rendlesham Forest.
Okay.
And will-o'-the-wisp is blamed on swamp gas. It comes out of the marshland. It's an inflammable gas, methane. It catches fire basically, and you end up like with glowing, like almost like a natural candle. It's never been proved that this actually happens, but anything's better than saying aliens exist. As far as the skeptics go, so they just latch onto it.
Do you remember the children's cartoon with Kenneth Williams?
Yeah.
Will-o'-the-wisp.
He did the voices, didn't he? Will-o'-the-wisp was this like little.
Fairy.
Yeah, because it's in ancient mythology these things were said to be kind of fairies, and in modern law they're said to be UFOs. But
interesting.
But the Rendlesham Forest has a reputation for that because there's an area near there called Lantern Marsh, and it is a marshland near the sea. It's like a saltwater marsh. And I know it's a title of an album by Filipino as well, an ambient album. But it's because balls of light are always appearing around there. So.
Well, you've got Golden Book Hill, haven't you? That's one of the
that's the luminosities, as Michael Glickman calls them, or as Matthew Williams calls him, Mr. Michael fucking Prickman. But I like Michael Prickman, I think he's cool.
I saw him this year actually.
DC, yeah, he's a great crop circle researcher and lecturer, a very charismatic man. But you know, you see, the thing about it is, like, if you look at the witness testimony, people like Colonel Holt, like Larry Warren, it's not flame gas they're seeing.
No.
It's not flames of gas. He's a structured craft.
Well, I'm sure they'd say that about the Tic Tac UFO if they could say that was some sort.
They'll say anything other than
anything but an extraterrestrial.
Anyway, we're getting close to Miles's place. We've got to do a bit of shopping.
Oh yeah.
So this is from Colin and me.
Yeah,
We've enjoyed sharing this journey with you, and we will be back later. So we're getting close to Miles's place.
More fun and adventure.
Yeah, so we've got to get the usual booze. We'll also get some coal if we can find some coal, and nibbles, and all kinds of other things so we can Miles and I can have a party. Here we are, Oldie. So see you later. Yeah, he was Oldie. Because of course we have the traditional conference attire. I got my Rich Planet hat and I got my Basis Project t-shirt. Colin, what have you got on?
Actually, I'm wearing an Embrace.
Embrace 21st anniversary. Is that a band? Oh, the Goodwill Out. Yeah, is that a band?
It's a band. It's a famous band, and I've got my Q. It's my Q.
Yay! Q with the Union Jack. Yeah. Very appropriate, I think.
That's what I'm wearing for today.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. So I think we're suitably dressed. We have our uniforms on, so we're ready to meet the other conference goers. Okay, so we made it to Miles's place now. We're now. We've had a lovely evening. We had something to eat. We've had a couple of drinks. Watched a lot of secret space program stuff on the TV, so as to get ourselves in the mood and to give ourselves a bit of homework. And now we are heading for the pub. We're Colin there.
Oh yeah.
And there's this person walking in front of us. I don't know who he is. Who are you, sir? Who are you?
I refuse to identify myself.
Oh, right, there we are. He's not going to tell us who he is. Miles has gone off somewhere. We don't know where he is. He's wandering off around doing a drink around the drinking pits of Pusey. Yeah, so we're going to have ourselves another couple of drinks, then we're going to go to bed. And so we'll be up bright and early for the conference tomorrow. I think we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I've got to...
Well, we can't get in till 10 o'clock.
All right, that's the venue we're going to do. Right, okay. Yeah. I've had
It's not showing rain tomorrow, so I think we're dry day tomorrow.
I've been informed actually that I'm interviewing Christine Joanna Hart on Skype. I wasn't aware of this. I just found out.
Directly interviewing Christina Joanna Hart on the event that Christine Joanna Hart actually turned up, but she wasn't. So you're going to be interviewing, going to be doing a Kay Burley and interviewing an empty chair.
Oh right, okay. Well, that's what I'll have to do. But I'm anything but adaptable, so I'm quite happy to do that. I've been.
Or maybe you could be Kay Burley yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you could dress up as it.
You think I'll put a dress on and a wig? Oh, don't think it'd suit me. I don't think it would work.
I think it would take a little bit more than that.
Yeah, you'd be like Alan Partridge, I think, where he gets someone to pretend to be his wife and it's a man dressed up. Yeah. But anyway, we're walking through Devizes now towards the pub. We're going to have a couple of drinks and then we're going to go home. So we'll go back to Miles's place and have a sleep. I met...
Shooting this in UHD, so I can do 2 shots out of 1.
Oh, cool. I met Julie, who was one of the other speakers, Julie Phelps. Very nice lady, very interesting. Yeah. Had a long conversation with her about her experiences of being involved with the secret space program and extraterrestrials and
you can see
satanic ritual.
The videos are up.
That's right.
1 and 2 you can watch. Well, the first one was uploaded about 3 weeks ago.
Check. She's got 3 videos actually with Miles on Miles's channel, the Basis Project, and she talks about issues to do with Satanism, the sacred space program, and extraterrestrials. Very interesting.
Alien presence on this planet are satanic.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. So, anyway, see you later, guys. They hung people where? Here?
Well, they did the dipping pool.
This thing here?
Witches were killed here. Women were killed here.
Oh.
Because this were wise and deceptive, so they were killed because they didn't want any wise women.
Right, this is apparently a place where witches were killed. Here in Devizes. Oh, they used to do the dunking school thing. You know. What if they drowned, they were innocent, that sort of thing. Alright. Yeah. And here we are walking through Devizes. Lovely city. I mean, in better weather in daytime, it looks better, but it's actually a lovely little town. And Miles is just taking us for a drink. We're going to go to the old Black Swan, where we had the last conference. So that's our next port of call.
Sucking my stomach and
Oh, you're all right. We're having a good
Sucked
time,
in your
yeah?
stomach and a bigger breast than me.
Oh, come on. Miles is having the Guinness here. He's just had this one. And we're having this lovely
This is the guest
cider
beer.
called Mortimer...
I think it's
Mortimer's
berry something,
Orchard.
wasn't it?
Mortimer's Orchard. And it's like red berry flavour. It's quite nice, actually.
Is this a cider?
It's red berry flavoured cider. It's very. It's actually sweet and it's very nice. And you can pause and read that as in the best traditions of a Panmo TV. And
Maybe Panmo viewers can actually, sense the taste of it.
we're in the Black Swan here at Devizes. Now, something weird happened to me during the last time we had a conference, because we were up in the upstairs room. If you, I don't know if I've ever filmed up there, but there's like a function room upstairs, and
Yes, you'll find that hotels have got many rooms in them. Some of them have got function rooms, and occasionally you can book to use some of the function rooms on certain specific dates. So I haven't a clue what the relevance of this completely inane, stupid comment is coming from. Because you're a hospital porter, does that mean all your viewers are basically in hospital? Or
Hope
you
not.
can't watch your stuff unless you are in hospital?
no, it's not obligatory. It helps, but it's not obligatory. But I was in the middle of watching Michael Shrimpton talking.
He's one of your biggest fans.
Oh, yep, the Germans did it, basically. Yeah, and, I like Michael. And we were sitting there, suddenly I sort of like went like that. Not because Michael was boring, he's never boring, but it's because, he's in a conference now.
No,
And I'm sort of
David
like,
Monker who fell asleep during Jane's
oh dear, yeah, that was... But Jane didn't like that, yeah. But the thing is, I sort of like suddenly flicked into a kind of altered state of consciousness.
what you're saying.
And I was standing at the back of the room, and the fire was on. The first thing I thought was the fire was on. I could feel it burning behind me, and then the next thing I realised was the entire room had changed. I mean, not when I say it changed, all the basis stuff was gone, all the people were gone. Instead, there was a big table laid out with white tablecloth, and people sitting around it, and you could see they'd just been eating dinner. They had plates of just empty plates, and they were smoking, which is very weird. And there was glasses of red wine. I think.
You tried to suggest that some kind of time slip happened.
Well, the funny thing is, right, the fact they were smoking obviously means it couldn't have been at the time, it couldn't have been a recent event. Also, there was something a bit retro about the hairstyles and the...
What do you mean by retro?
I mean, it looked a bit old-fashioned, the dresses and the
That's a 60s
suits.
expression. Hey man, this is just so retro.
It looked kind of
So are you suggesting it's the
old-fashioned.
1960s?
Well, I had a look at like some fashions through the ages, and I estimate from 1900 to 1920. I reckon I estimate the time of those fashions was 1900 to 1920. But these people looked like they were at a wedding reception. They were laughing and they were obviously having fun. And there was the funny thing is, the sunlight was coming in through the window. Yeah, if you remember that day.
Colin, have you ever heard of sunlight coming out through the window?
Well, not on that day. It wasn't, because remember it was actually grey when we had that basis conference. So obviously the sun was coming through the window. The fire was. It must have been winter time because the fire was.
Windows. I've never heard of that.
No, it wasn't that time because it was a grey, miserable day. But sun was coming in through the windows. And then it was only about a couple of seconds. I could smell the cigarette smoke. I could hear their voice. I couldn't hear what they were saying. They couldn't see me. They didn't seem to notice me. But then about 2 or 3 seconds later, I suddenly flicked back and I was back to normal. Everything was back to normal. And I think I might have had a time slip in that function room upstairs. Yeah, in that function room.
Well, it's very interesting because the ground this is built on is all sort of pyrites and sort of energy storing rocks, flints and stuff like that. So you probably find it was some kind of piezoelectric scalar energetic effect based on cosmic ray radiation, energizing due to the collapse of the heliosphere. Energizing these rocks to present you into a time slip mode, which allowed you to perceive this complete fantasy, which obviously couldn't have any basis in reality or coherent or proper cognitive thinking in today's world, because we're all very sober and sane. So therefore, I would have to join the majority of the full pint of Guinness. Obviously, I would have to join the great majority of sensible people by saying that Ben probably just had one of those phases in later life.
Oh, you cheeky bastard! She'd take a life by us, you cheeky bastard. But it's like it was a weird experience. It was like
there's a few ghosts in here.
I mean that I asked someone down here about that room, and they said it's been used as a function room for about since the mid 19th century. Before that, it was actually used by a travelling magistrate.
Well, yeah.
And because believe it or not,
They
they didn't have proper courts here. I don't know what cases they heard, but they didn't have a courthouse here in Devizes until like about 1800.
Well, the courthouse around the corner is a big, great courthouse with huge columns, and if you got about 20 million quid, you can renovate it and probably have enough money left to pay a TV license, which is now insanely expensive.
And if you have 25 million quid, you could hire it for a Basis Project conference.
No, don't be silly. Basis does not put on cheap conferences as cheap as that. Rubbish.
We're up market here. But it's the funny thing is, it's like that. It's perfectly possible that there had been a wedding reception or something like that in the time period where the way they were dressed were fashionable. Because the women didn't. One woman I noticed had like a band across her hair, red rubies or red glittering. No, she didn't. She had like a red hairband which was like glittering with red jewellery. Sometime after 1920, women started wearing hats in formal events, which means I reckon it's before 1920. This image, but it was probably a wedding reception back in those days.
Yeah, well, I think that's very interesting.
It was in that very same room, but it was just a really amazing experience in this very strange hotel. I've been talking to the bar manager, and he was telling me a bit about the ghosts around here.
No.
And there are ghosts in this hotel. It's on the ghost map.
Plenty of spirits in
when
this
you
bar,
deal
that's all I'm
with
saying.
in the tourism industry, in places like Devizes, passing a few dodgy tales helps business. It's a bit like saying crop circles are made by people, but we all know they're made by aliens. And this is the area where they make crop circles.
Yes.
You can buy them down in the bakery down the corner. They're very tasty and very nice to eat. They're made of corn and all sorts of cereal.
Oh, you mean there's like a cake called a crop circle?
Yeah, there's cakes.
Oh,
and there's also beer made from crop circles.
Croppy, yeah. Well, they used to serve it at the barge. I mean, I definitely filmed that one, and they used to serve it in the barge. I think hopefully they will again now, because it's gone back to its old form, thanks to people like
no, it hasn't actually. The barge has been completely renovated. There's rooms available for sale to rent, and so the whole upstairs of the barge is now completely available for people to stay in, which it never was before.
How much is it? Do you know?
I don't know, but it's got a huge campsite. Expanded the campsite by 50%, and it's completely been renovated. The scaffolding all around it now for quite some time, preparing the whole building. So it's an amazing place and wide open for business. And a great place to go to.
Yes, I do think so, yeah. Oh, it's interesting. Well, that's an interesting little bit of anecdote there from a previous Basis event where Colin and Miles was. And
That's been a couple of years ago,
yeah, I think it might have been the one with Daniela. Do you remember the Daniela? I think it might have been that one.
There was a Christmas event last year, was there? Yeah?
That's nice, so.
Was it? I wasn't there.
That was very good, the one with Daniela.
Yeah, the one here last year was the one with the beautiful Caroline, who's away in Australia at the moment. And that was a wonderful time. We had lots of live TV from Basis HQ, the little studio we have. And since then, we've expanded the studio so that Caroline could do those bigger interviews. And we've now done a little bit further modification studio to add a chroma key set, which allows us to do a few extra little things, like imagine we're in Mars or someplace.
It's pretty good, yeah. There's a green screen, and indeed Miles actually interviewed Julie, and behind I thought it was a window, but it was a green screen. There was live, and not just a picture, a live feed from outside.
Yes. It was a camera pointed at a window.
All right,
which is why it looked as if it was a window.
It's very good, very good. All right, and so we're going to have this drink, and then I don't know what we're going to do after that. We've got to go. We can't be up too late.
We're working a lot. We're working very hard to get the because we're going to try and bring Joanna Hart in via Skype. And she's not got here for various reasons, and I do give her a hard time, but she deserves. So
bring her in by an air balloon.
We're going to. Colin's making
On
comments.
these. Well, hopefully, I'm going to be interviewing her tomorrow.
On the roof of the
No. Ben, you don't understand.
Bring her in by a balloon.
If we're not able to get Christy Joanna Hart by Skype, we're going to do a Kay Burley, Sky News. The head of the Conservative Party, the actual Conservative manager, head of the Conservative Party, didn't turn up on Sky News one day quite recently. It was a big news story that he didn't turn up. and he did turn up on talk radio.
Yeah, he was double booked. It wasn't his fault.
And he decided to go with the talk radio thing. And of course, Sky News thought, well, what the hell are we going to do this? They had a bit of fun, and they had Kay Burley interview an empty seat.
That's right, yeah.
And they probably got more information by doing that than interviewing the real deal. Because as we know, politicians obfuscate and avoid actually answering any questions at all.
You can't really tell the difference,
So
can you?
if Christine Joanna Hart does not turn up on Skype as well, then we will have a specially reserved empty chair for Christine Joanna Hart, and Colin will be able to have a full conversation and detailed interview with Christina Hart, who won't be there and will be not on a chair and completely absent entirely, which will probably give us more information than if he did actually turn up.
Yeah, Colin will be pretending to be Christine Hart, which is not.
No, well, this is a
not easy.
plot.
Didn't they did that on Have I Got News For You, didn't they? Someone who didn't turn up, didn't they? Replace them with...
The thing about that guy, I've got his name now, he was double booked, and Sky didn't really appreciate being stood up, being upstaged by Talk Sport, so they decided to get their own
probably
back.
find that the director, that particular director who did that whole thing, was sacked immediately for violation of truth on TV.
Oh right, well normally you get sacked for...
Ofcom should be sacked right now.
Yeah, the thing is, normally on TV these days you get sacked for not violating truth. Anyway, gentlemen, we're going to have to finish these pints and then...
Well, I did interview Seven this week. She was very...
Oh, Seven, yeah. Alright guys, see you later. And I are in the Southgate. I'm sitting perched on a chair, sitting next to a sleeping doggy. And look at the decorations over there. Look at that there, Grant Scotch. That's a big bottle of, that's an old style bottle. I don't like Grant actually. Look at that, that's nice, isn't it? Look, there's all these old movie posters.
My dad always had a store.
This is Miles's hub. This is where we're having the social event tomorrow after the main conference. It's got like a sun disc up there too, it's really nice. And that's the rest of the pub out there. Yeah, this is going to be Basis HQ from about 6 PM to about probably 6 PM the following evening. So, but it's gone midnight now. I'm getting tired, so I need to get to bed. So hopefully Miles will drink. He's got another pint somewhere, and we're gonna go home. All right, better be on his good books then. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading home now at last. I'm tired. I want to go to bed, and we are gonna go to bed, and then tomorrow is the big day of the conference. We've already had a look at the venue. It's looking very good. Miles and Colin are all set up and prepared. I think Julie is going to be set up and prepared too, and hopefully...
I'm going to be heckling tomorrow.
Oh, I bet you will. Colin will be heckling. And so we're going to head to back to Miles's place and have a nice night's sleep. So, see you in the morning. I hope I sleep well. I better. Good morning. It is Sunday, the 24th. I'm sitting here watching Michael Schratt to get us in the mood of the Secret Space Program. I'm actually pretty tired because I got insomnia again last night, and I've had this on and off, but at least one day a week since I had my psychic attack last year, and so I'm now just having breakfast, having a cup of coffee, and we're going to go to the conference starting soon. Okay, we're just heading for the venue now. That's how I've not seen this in daytime yet. Colin is leading the way. He seems to know where he's going. He's got a sat nav. This is the Devizes and District Conservative Club. Never been here before. Don't know what it's like. Don't know how many people will be there. But I know a few people who are going to turn up. I've been advertising this event as much as I can to try and get as many people as possible. I'm still feeling tired, but our friend Julie's given me some Lucozade, which is always a good pick-me-up, so I feel a lot better. I'm sure I'll do a good job in my talk. I'm very confident of doing a good job in my talk. So enjoying this nice walk, and it's a bit damp and chilly, but it's a charming little town. I was saying to the others, that you remember when I was yesterday when I was on the underground going through the suburbs of London, and some of them look really horrible. You know, piles of rubbish, graffiti, shifty-looking kids. And you come to a place like Devizes, it's like another world. It's like this charming little town in the West Country, and it's just like, it is like something you've not seen before. I've seen Jane. Jane's here with her book.
Oh, yes, again.
Yeah, you know, Jane's here with a book again. It's coming. I should have got myself a stall, and I didn't. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, mate.
Nice to see you again. Oh, hello, how are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see you again. You've come from Cambridge.
Yes,
is your dad here as well?
He's not, no,
sorry, couldn't make it.
no, not today, no.
Oh, it's good to see you both again.
Cheers, thanks, yeah.
Nice
Christmas, isn't it?
Oh no, it's a bit. Oh man, I can't get into Christmas yet. They've got a Christmas tree and everything up here. This is the venue, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't like. It's kind of like, look at this. Look at all this stuff here. Oh man.
I never put one up this early, and I'm really ashamed to say.
I can't do that sort of thing yet. I can't get in the Christmas spirit yet. I mean,
It's always only the
December
20th
1st is my cut-off point. Yeah. Nothing before that.
Does get early every year, don't it?
Yeah.
I haven't done one early because
All right, as you can see, people have started to arrive, and Miles there is busy setting things up, doing his usual self, being very, very precise with what he does. I'm sitting here at the entrance on this table. There's the entrance here, because my current job at the moment is to take money from people when they arrive. Now Miles hasn't specified an amount. He's asked for donations to cover the costs of this event, which I hope he achieves. People have been very generous so far. They've been, no one's donated less than £10. Someone gave considerably more than that, so I'm very grateful for those people. And so it looks pretty good. Looks like hopefully he will sort of cover his costs. That's what I hope. And there's more and more people arriving every moment. In fact, someone's just got here.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Secret Space Program Conference. It shouldn't be doing that. Secret Space Program Conference in the Conservative Club, otherwise known as the Con Club, in Devizes. So this is the first time we've used this venue, and I'm pleased to greet a great supporter of the Basis project. He does his own show on the wireless internet thing. It's called Homeward Radio. And Homeward is so complex, a secret code, that only Ben can explain it. Ben's done a series of books. He's done three.
Recently, yeah, three.
Recently, three. You mean you did 4?
Two more before, but that's a long time ago.
Does that mean you've got 6 books, or you've got 9 books?
5.
5 books. So you did 3. And Ben is an accomplished author, broadcaster, and person who doesn't like to appear on Channel 4 television programs. Ben starred on the Basis of the Barge, and actually, to be fair, it's not fun if I'm fair.
I know. You've got to be something.
He actually told the producers he didn't want to be in the programme, and then they promptly included him on a wide shot.
Yeah.
And you complained.
I did, yeah.
He did. He complained. So, just goes to show, So anyway, without any further ado, the Basis Project 2019 Ad Hoc Micro Conference welcomes Ben Emlyn-Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you, Miles, and thank you everyone for coming here on this rather cold and foggy day here in Devizes, Wiltshire. Much appreciated. But I'll tell you what, right, this is probably the best time to have one of these conferences right now, because we are going through a very exciting period of time, and I'm going to be explaining exactly why I think that is. But if you, there's all kinds of things you could start off by saying. For example, it is November 2019 at the moment, which of course is Blade Runner month. How many of you have seen the film? I think everyone, haven't you? Yeah. That's right. Any replicants in the room? I think we're all right there. However, of course, that film was made in 1982, and it was a vision of the present day from back then. And of course, one of the first things you see in the opening segment is a flying car. Now, you see it several times. There's several other scenes where there are flying cars around that entire movie. So where's our flying car? That's the question. Why haven't we got one? Well, That's an interesting train of thought that triggers off, because I believe the technology to build those kind of vehicles does exist, and it was predicted as long ago, and even before that film was made, that such technology would become available, and it's not. But let's explain why. Really, that it's kind of symbolic. This is Blade Runner month, and that factor has come into it, because I was talking to Colin Wolford yesterday. He's in the audience there. He's the alien autopsy man sitting at the back there. Next year is 2020. And he came up with something extraordinarily profound, because 2020 is an optician's term. It refers to basically the pinnacle of human vision. Where you can, I don't know exactly what it means, you can see 20 inches high, 20 feet, or something like that. But it's to do with opticians when you get your eyes tested. So it means clear vision. And next year is 2020. Could there be some kind of symbolic metaphor behind that? Is next year going to be the year of clear vision? Personally, I think the year of clear vision is already here. In fact, I would say that the year when clear vision began was 2016. Now, how many of you recognise this chap? It's not Eddie Murphy. Anyone? Oh, right. So that means, that's good, because it means none of you have heard my original History of Exopolitics talk. I don't think I've done that one at the Basic Project before. I don't know, Miles, did I? I don't think I did. No, I've done it in other areas. But I actually started this talk, the History of Exopolitics, before 2016. And when I started it, when I first came up with the idea, none of what's happened since then has actually come to part. But I went into the history of exopolitics and how it relates to exopolitics being the idea of, rather than ufology, which is the scientific study of UFOs, exopolitics says, okay, we've studied them, at least some of them are ET, now what are we going to do about it? And the reason I put the picture of this man here, this man is Sir Eric Aguirre. He was the first Prime Minister of Grenada. Now, you may have heard of Grenada. It's a lovely little island in the Caribbean. You may have been there on a holiday, sandy beaches and things like that, you know. But it was actually a crucial part of this development in terms of exopolitics, into this idea that ETs are out there, what are we going to do about it? And this man, the first surveying head of state in history to speak at a UFO conference, and he did indeed speak at the 1977 World UFO Congress in Acapulco, Mexico. And I ended that talk with a prediction of the future that at some point the ideas of exopolitics are going to become more popular and more widespread and more mainstream. And I believe that has happened. So let us go to World Disclosure Day 2016. 8th of July 2016 is, every year, is World Disclosure Day. Now this is something designated by the Paradigm Research Group, which is run by Stephen Bassett, who's a really great guy, and Miles and I both know him. He's a really, really good guy. He dedicates a lot of time and energy, in fact his whole life, to this quest, the quest for disclosure, this transparency of the fact that we are not alone in the universe. There is an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race, and what's more, the people who supposedly are our rulers and leaders and have our best interests at heart have kept this from us. They've kept it from us for a very long time. Many decades, possibly a century or more. 2016 World Disclosure Day, July the 8th, that's the year, sorry, that's the date in 1947 that this headline appeared in the Roswell Daily Record. General Ramey empties Roswell saucer. That was where the cover-up, as Stephen Bassett believes that's where he believes it began. I personally think it began a lot earlier. But this is still a seminal, decisive moment in the turning point of our relationship between ourselves, the state, and the extraterrestrials. This infernal triangle which makes up the secrecy that we live under, and this shapes the entire world we live in. World Disclosure Day 2016 was the 69th World Disclosure Day. If there is another, when disclosure actually happens, World Disclosure Day will immediately shift to that date. But a lot was happening around that time. For example, some more files were released by the government, and Nick Pope was all over the TV talking about it, like he always does. Nick Pope, for those of you who don't know him, and oddly enough, there is actually a person in this room who I won't name, I don't want to embarrass them, but they didn't know who Nick Pope was. Well, lucky them. That's all I can say. unfortunately, when you get involved in this particular issue, sooner or later, you come across Mr. Nick Pope. Yes, he's the guy you have on speed dial if you're in the media and you want someone, you have a UFO story and you want someone to come in and talk about it. And so he can come in with his grey suit and his glasses and he can sit there and say, we can't rule it out, I can neither confirm or deny that, etc, etc, etc. And we have total transparency in government because we have released another batch of Ministry of Defence UFO files just to show that there is no cover-up. We have no saucer in a hangar and things like that. The thing about it is, though, the actual files that were released were not top-secret files. They were confidential sightings reports collected by the Ministry of Defence from the period, I think, 1987 to when the actual desk closed in 1996. Even my own sighting is in there among them. But if indeed there is a saucer in the hangar, which is a phrase that Nick Pope coined, it's not going to be in those files anyway. But Nick Pope is a deceiver. And this is not something I say lightly. I don't make accusations like this lightly, but he is. He's a gatekeeper. He's there to actually there to protect UFO secrecy, not to expose it. Now, the following year, World Disclosure Day 2017 was a very important one because it was the 70th anniversary of the Roswell incident. July 1947, an artifact of an extraterrestrial civilization crashed to Earth and was secretly salvaged by the government near Roswell, New Mexico, USA. The government put out a cover story, which you just read about, General Ramey empties Roswell saucer, and they've changed the cover story from time to time. They keep chopping and changing the different ideas. They've got different ideas about what it is. It's either a balloon of some kind or some kind of test dummy, or it's all kinds of different stories they've come out about. And every time they come out with a new cover story, they say, yeah, but this time I'm telling you the truth. The truth of the matter is, the evidence is overwhelming, that it is extraterrestrial. The whole thing, it was an extraterrestrial artifact. So what I decided to do was I decided to attend a conference to celebrate this 70th anniversary of the modern UFO era, the modern exopolitical era, you might say. And I found out that no one was actually organising one, which is a shame, because there was a big Roswell 60 conference 10 years earlier, in 2007. It was organised, it was in, I believe it was in Manchester, and it was organised by a 16-year-old boy called Sam Willey. And so I thought, well, he's bound to be doing one this time, or someone will do one. And I looked around and I saw that nobody was doing one. There was the Roswell Festival in Roswell itself, which was a special one because it was the 70th anniversary. Outside of Roswell, there was no organised event to mark this occasion. So, unfortunately, when you're in that position, if no one else is doing one, you've got to do one yourself. So I did. Roswell 70 in Oxford, and as you can see, Miles spoke along with Colin, Tony Topping, and myself. And it was a very, very good day. I sent a press release to the newspapers, but no one was really interested. So I thought to myself, okay, so it's the 70th anniversary of probably the most important, or one of the most important days in human history, and we were in a room above a pub. There was about 25 people there, a crowd similar to today, and I'm very pleased those people joined and came along. But, I don't know, the Oxford Mail could have said a few words. But, you know, I think maybe now things will be a bit different. There's some things are changing. I sense that there's a new atmosphere in the way UFOs are portrayed at the moment. And this is a very amusing example of what I'm talking about. This is from a poster, or from a notice from the Wiltshire Police. Crop circles of criminal damage. How many of you saw this? Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe the police were talking about this. This is an official publication from Wiltshire Police, and it was it was in spring of 2017, I believe, and it said that beware, this is the season when lots of crop circles are being made. Please be observant if you see strange people hanging around. If you see, and he said, if you may see certain people with drones, and I know who they were talking about. Yeah. Matthew Williams, he's not in the room. I was hoping to take the mickey out of him, but he's not here. That's a shame. But if he's watching on TV, Matthew, I'm taking the mickey out of you, alright? Yeah, Matthew Williams is the only person on earth to be prosecuted for crop circle making. He was prosecuted for trespassing and criminal damage a few years ago, and it's a fact he wears very proudly on his sleeve. But they did mention that making crop circle is criminal damage. They said it causes loss of crops for the farmer, and it causes trespass, and of course it encourages people to come along and enter the field when they're not supposed to visit the circle. And the police actually advise farmers to get in touch with cropcircleconnector.com if you don't want anyone on your premises. Now, what was interesting is that this police notice did not even consider the fact that the 100% human-made hypothesis is correct. It just assumed that all crop circles were made the way the man-made crop circle makers make them. People like Matthew with planks and ropes and tape measures and all the other tools that they use. And I understand that many crop circles are made that way. But in no way does that possibly explain the entire phenomenon. And indeed the police know this because one of the most credible, one of the most interesting reports or stories related to crop circles comes from a police sergeant. He actually observed strange figures in the crop circles, including humanoid figures that could leap 12 feet in the air. So I thought that was very amusing, and I did think to myself, despite the fact that it's a very sober, very serious sounding article, and it didn't mention UFOs or aliens or anything like that, it's the very fact it was mentioned seemed to be a sign of the times. And this is even more so, right? Do you know you now can do a course in what I would use the word exopolitics. They don't use the word. They call it extraterrestrial politics and relations. I can't remember the exact title of the course. But there's a university in Turkey, of all places, offering a course. You can actually enroll as a student at university and study this particular course, which teaches you all about UFOs, all the things that we talk about, and you can get a degree in it. I mean, it'd be great to do. I mean, I've never been to university. I was a terrible pupil at school. I failed nearly everything. But you know, I mean, if that had been around back then, it could have been something I could have got my teeth into and learned. But it's really quite incredible that this is, at least in one country, in Turkey, they're taking this seriously. And I know from sort of speaking to Haktan Akdogan that they actually do have, in Turkey, they do have a much more healthy attitude, I would say, to UFOs than they do in the English-speaking world. And I would say Haktan Akdogan is kind of like the Turkish Homeward. And that's an interesting point that really, if you think about Homeward, the role he plays, because he has a mainstream TV show in Mexico, which broadcasts in Spanish, and he's been doing it for years and years and years. And that's really quite incredible, because there's nothing I can think of in the English-speaking world, that is Britain, Ireland, North America, apart from Mexico, Australia. There's nothing like that. The closest we have to that is the aforementioned Mr. Nick Pope, and that is nowhere near good enough, in my view. So this is encouraging. Sure, it's in Turkey, it's just one country, but I'd like to see the idea spread. And it's possible we're in a position where that idea might be able to spread. It might well. Right, now we come to TTSA and ATIP, two rows of letters that really meant nothing before 2017. And I keep using the year 2017 when I actually consider 2016 to be the most important year in this. But I think 2017 wouldn't have, everything that happened in 2017 would not have happened without 2016. What I mean by that is I believe 2016 is a year of major change. It is the kind of apocalyptic year, in the literal meaning of the word apocalypse, which means unveiling, revelation, exposure, disclosure, without a capital D, but you never know. This is quite remarkable. Colin and Miles know about this, because everyone knows where they were when so-and-so happened. You know that phrase? Well, I knew where I was when the stories about ATIP came out. I was in the basis studio, and it was actually, Miles was filming, and you can watch the video where this news breaks out in the studio. Colin was interviewing me for the basis project, and it just happened to come up, and I remember very well sitting there, and Colin says, oh, you know, well, you may not be aware of this, Ben, but it's just been announced on the news that the US Department of Defense have had a UFO investigation project that ran from 2007 to 2012. And they just come clean about it, and I thought, wow, amazing. Well, as it happened, it wasn't quite that simple, because the US government didn't initially come clean. The news was broken by an organisation called the To the Stars Academy for Arts and Sciences, and they released the information about something called ATIP, the Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program. There's a chap called Luis Elizondo, who was a former Department of Defense official, who was basically almost butted onto a radio show where Leslie Kane and Cheryl Costa were doing an interview. And he just came out with this stuff, and it's really quite remarkable. And of course, everyone was wondering what was going on. Of course, everyone was cautious about the whole thing, understandably. But over the following 2 years, more information has come to light, in which the Department of Defense has actually confirmed a lot, not all, but a lot of the information that was initially revealed in December of 2017. Now, still there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, Luis Elizondo, etc., but this is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. As soon as this footage came out, which was supposedly filmed from a jet. Now again, initially we didn't know because it was published by the TTSA, and we didn't know where it came from. There was a pilot, Commander David Fravor, who said that he was involved in it, but again, it took over a year before there was official confirmation from the Pentagon that this actually was a US Navy air aviation footage. Now, of course, this is controversial, what I just said. It is it's very contentious within the ufological circles, and I'll tell you what, the shill squad have really been triggered by this. They've come out of their safe spaces big time. I mean, you've seen it. You know the kind of characters I'm talking about, don't you? It's a psyop. It's a psyop. It's disinfo. It's disinfo spread by shills. Miles is a shill. Colin is a shill. Ben Emlyn-Jones is a shill. Everyone's a shill except me! And Andrew Johnson, of course. Well, I don't take such a negative attitude, quite frankly. I think we should be cautiously optimistic with what we see here. That being said, the shill shamers have a point. There are suspicious elements to what we're seeing here. There are suspicious elements, particularly some of the personnel on the TTSA board. I'm thinking specifically of Hal Puthoff, who you may have heard his name before if you're interested in these kinds of subjects. Because it was Hal Puthoff who recruited Uri Geller and Ingo Swann to the remote viewing program at Stanford Research Institute in 1972. So what's he doing here now? You see, why has he suddenly come back into the limelight all these years to be part of this TTSA? Now, I don't believe we should take an alarmist view on this, and we should just dismiss everything that TTSA said, because TTSA are made by shills, and it's the CIA, and it's the NSA, and everything else like that. I'm not ready to dismiss everything that I hear from TTSA, but at the same time, we should be wary. I believe in treading the middle ground. Not being excessively negative, but not being naive, and thinking this is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because it's probably not. However, there's no doubt, I mean, if this is some kind of disinformation, what's it disinforming? What purpose does it serve? I can't think of any, really, except, I mean, some people say that it's related to possibly a preparation for a fake alien invasion, and someone's going to come out and say, all these Tic Tac things, they're actually nasty aliens and they're going to blow us all to pieces. Something like that, and that's something we should be wary of, yes. But I want to see where this goes. I think we should be hopeful. And whatever is the case, there's no doubt that the original, the instructions from the Twining memo. Now this was a memo sent by Admiral Roscoe Hillencutter, who was the first head of the CIA in 1947. He sent a memo to General Nathan Twining, who was, I forgot his role exactly, but the memo said that flying saucers are real, in as many words. And basically they are not one of ours. They come from somewhere else. They're made by intelligently created, non-human, whatever. But through official ridicule and denial, we will make the public believe that they're nothing important. Official ridicule and denial. Well, official ridicule and denial sums up the entire way that UFOs have been portrayed by the mainstream media from 1947 until 2017. 70 years of the same policy, and then one day, on that crucial day in 2017, that policy changed, and it's changed forever, and it's changed because you can't go back once you've done this. Once you say, oh yes, we've had this project, Bob Bigelow's involved, etc., etc., and yes, we don't know what these are. We've got pilots in the media saying that they're not man-made objects. You can't go back from that. So if it's changed, why has it changed? It must have changed for a good reason. Now, this is Bob Lazar. Anyone not heard of Bob Lazar? Good. That's good. I mean, I would have thought there's usually one or two, but no one this time. That's good. Now, Bob Lazar his story is, again, controversial. I know there's people who are really, really pro-UFO who just don't believe Bob Lazar. I mean, Stanley Friedman, for example, who I've got a lot of respect for. He's one of the greatest individuals in the history of our field of expertise and research. He sadly passed away last year. Well, was it this year? I think it was this year. And he himself never believed Bob Lazar. He said he's making it up. He's a Walter Mitty. He's making it up. He's never seen any of these things. Bob Lazar is stuck by his story. I mean, if he made the story up initially in 1989 to achieve fame and fortune, well, he never achieved any of the latter. He's today running his business, his scientific business, and he's very shy. He stays out of the public light. But he did make a reappearance after many, many years on the 25th anniversary in 2014. He made a brief reappearance, and he was contacted by a filmmaker called Jeremy Corbell, and together they produced a documentary about his life. Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, I believe it was called. I watched it. Very interesting. He was raided by the FBI halfway through. Oh yeah, he still gets a lot of attention from the government. That's not gone away from the day he came out to today. But I wonder if Stanton, bless him, God rest his soul, I wonder if Stanton Friedman would have changed his mind if he'd heard the latest news about Bob Lazar. And this is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not heard it before. This literally came out just a couple of days ago. Bob Lazar has had several detractors over the years, including Friedman, but he's had many supporters as well. And the latest supporter to come out of the closet and speak publicly is a man called David Fruhoff. Now, David Fruhoff is someone who flies in the face of the skeptic idea that all ufologists are losers and loonies. We wear tinfoil hats, we stand on dark hillsides at night, pointing cameras at the sky, wearing anoraks and woolly hats. No offence, Wayne Keach. There's a role for that. But that's their stereotype of us. And David Fruhoff, do you know who David Fruhoff is? He was a highly acclaimed US Air Force pilot who was recruited to the spy plane program at Area 51, and he flew the SR-71 Blackbird aircraft from 1967 until, I believe, about 1980. This was an aircraft that was way ahead of its time. It could fly Mach 3, 3 times the speed of sound, 80,000 feet, almost up in space. And he, among all the people in the world, was selected to fly this aircraft. They don't let loonies and losers do that kind of job. It's not the sort of job anyone can apply for. And he says, Bob Lazar's telling the truth. I know that because of the various anecdotes of his time at Area 51. He describes the journey on the Janet planes with the blacked out windows. He describes what it's like, the various security measures you've got to go through. There's no way anyone could say the things he said unless he had actually worked at Area 51. And what's more, Fruhoff remembers, because at Area 51 everything's compartmentalised. Nobody knows any more than is necessary to do their job. So Flew off, might have sat on the Janet plane next to somebody, but they would never talk about their work, even though they were both going to Area 51. And he said some of the people on the plane, they got in a bus with blacked out windows, like Lazar says, and they drove to another area, another part of the base. And he said, we knew what this place was called. It was called Site 4. We didn't know what went on there, and it wasn't our need to know, so nobody would tell us. If we asked, we were told to mind our own business. But there was a place called Site 4. Now, what does Bob Lazar call the laboratory where he worked? S4. I think this is going to be a turning point in the Bob Lazar story. I've wavered a lot over Bob Lazar, but I think he's telling the truth. And I think that's it. It's just a part, it's just a sign of the times of what we're seeing at the moment. In terms of the changes that have happened over the last few years. There's also been many UFO incidents around the world. It seems to be increasing, and indeed the way they're portrayed in the media, as I said, has changed. And these are really, really amazing, really interesting. Oh, this here is an RAF Typhoon jet. Sorry, what's it called? It's an RAF fighter jet, interceptor.
Eurofighter.
That's it, yeah. But these were deployed. They've been deployed several times over the last few years, more than has been known before, more than has been said before, the Typhoons. In fact, two of them had been moved from one base to another, further north. I think it was Coningsby or Cranwell. And you'll be hearing more about that from Julie later, about these various bases. But even on the surface, they were quite open about the redeployment of two jets to the north of England. And this was following a number of incidents which happened over the last couple of years, involving strange objects appearing in the sky basically in the kind of North Yorkshire area and the North Sea coast, around about Whitby, Halifax, that area. Whitby's where Simon Parkes lives. Not that there's a connection. He did live there. He was a councillor there. That's not a connection, but it's just interesting there. Now, there was one incident where an airliner between Newcastle and Paris apparently went off course and lost communications. And when that happens, of course, it's a red alert because of 9/11. So immediately jets were scrambled, they went transonic. People heard the sonic booms in places like Leeds and Manchester. They heard these sonic booms. And the story was that they made contact with these planes and they managed to get the planes back on course, this airliner back on course and to its airport, the correct airport. However, there was nothing else in the news. No one has come forward and no one knows anyone who was a passenger on this airliner. There's no sort of footage of people filming out the window as these two fighter jets were escorting them, which would be something very interesting. It doesn't happen every day when you're flying, that you're escorted by two RAF fighter jets. There's no sort of amateur footage of that. There's nothing of the sort. I suspect that the lost airliner story was a cover story. I suspect what actually happened was these aircraft were investigating detections of unidentified objects in the area of North Yorkshire. Since then, there's been several other incidents where, indeed, aircraft have been scrambled and indeed people have seen things, especially off the coast. One guy I know from Wales, he monitors air traffic, including several military aircraft that do appear on, for example, flight radar, such as the tankers. The tanker aircraft, which, now what happened was a tanker did deploy and it was circling over the North Sea area, which meant these fighter jets were in the area and the tanker was there to make sure they had plenty of fuel if they needed to be there for a while. And since then he's been doing more monitoring of aircraft and their activities, and he says that this is very telling when it comes to the UFO subject. His name's Gary Jones, you might have heard of him, and I'll be saying more about him in a minute actually. In fact, I'll say more about him now. Now this is going back a little bit earlier. This is something maybe I should have put at the beginning of this talk. But in February 2016, that fateful year, a large object appeared over a Welsh hillside. Pentech is in South Wales, which is north of Cardiff. I've been there. It's a tiny little place in the valleys. It's a lovely little area, and on this particular night, lights appeared in the sky. Firstly, there was a lot of aircraft activity, and several military aircraft were seen orbiting the area, and this was actually for several days beforehand, as if they knew something was going to happen. I mean, how they knew and why is an interesting question, and we don't know this. It's interesting to think out why that is. And then one night, there was a lady called Kaz Clark and a couple of other people in her neighbourhood in Pentek noticed a red light appear in the sky. They went out of their houses to a little country lane, to a farmer's field by the village, to get a better look. And as they watched, a strange, more and more lights appeared, these red lights, and then a dark brown-shaped object appeared between the lights. It's almost like it decloaked or came out of a portal, as you sometimes UFOs are seen to do. They almost materialise in our world, like the TARDIS does, Doctor Who's TARDIS. And this just flowed, it almost like flowed into our world. And Kaz describes it as the size of a tower block. It's huge. Triangular or pyramidal in shape, with one curved side, releasing, as you can see here, was releasing what looked like bolts of lightning, electrical discharges down to the ground, although we've got reason to believe it's not that. Aircraft were seen all over the place. Smaller lights appeared around the main structured craft, including some oblong red ones, green ones, and the oval-shaped object you see on the right, and it's beaming light at one of the aircraft. Now, this is a picture by me, so it's not the best in the world. There's some better artwork actually has been created of this, and if you Google Pentek UFO, you will see it. Gary Jones has been investigating this ever since, and has done an awful lot of field research, and has worked out, well, I think this is real. I've not only spoken a lot to Kaz, the principal witness, but another witness has come forward who will not be named and certainly doesn't want fame and fortune. But I met with him. I travelled to Pentek and I met with him and I spoke to him, and he told the same story. These sorts of things seem to be happening more and more, and when they do happen, people talk, it seems for various reasons, it's harder to keep it quiet. It's harder to keep it secret, as it would be before. Now, this is interesting. Admiral Thomas Wilson, Pentagon official, he's a very, very interesting chap, because he had a meeting in 2002 with Dr. Eric Davis, who was a part of Robert Bigelow's scientific outfit of NIDS, the National Institute of Discovery Sciences, which Bigelow set up to investigate strange phenomena. This meeting took place in the back of a car outside the E&G headquarters. This is a defence contractor for the US government. In the back of the car, lasted almost an hour, or was it just an hour and 10 minutes, I think, actually, come to think of it. And it was Wilson, Admiral Thomas Wilson, very, very candidly spoke about the true nature of the extraterrestrial investigation programme within the highest levels of the US government. And it's not just the government, and this is why I think he may have decided to speak out or speak to this researcher, because Admiral Thomas Wilson was not in the loop about what was going on. He was told he didn't have a need to know, so it was none of his business, get on with his job. Now, he was pretty put out by this, because Admiral Thomas Wilson was the Deputy Director of Defence Intelligence of the Pentagon. He sat on the committee of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the governing body of the US military, the largest armed forces and most powerful armed forces and most expensive armed forces in the world. How can a man like him not have a need to know? This is completely ran contrary to everything that he'd been taught throughout his military career, all his training, and everything everyone had told him about his role within the government. He understood that he was a very, very important man, and he believed he was very, very important, and indeed, he should have been. But he was told in no uncertain terms that this has been run by a private company. And he didn't mention that. Now, Wilson didn't mention the company's name, but perhaps the choice of the meeting place was very interesting, because I'll remind you, he met in the back of a car outside the headquarters of EG&G. That's what Bob Lazar worked for. Now, privatisation is something we know an awful lot about, and it's happening an awful lot, and it's not a secret that state actors will contract out some of their services to private organisations in a sense, to launder some of their own activities, to relieve themselves of some regulations and laws and things like that. This is why when they pull the troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan, they can say, we're pulling the troops out, we're bringing them home. And they can be completely honest when they say that. But we're leaving behind a few civilian contractors, let's say. Well, these civilian contractors are like Shea and Blackwater. They're basically mercenaries. They're private outfits that do the same job that the military did. That is constabulary, armed conflict. And of course, have you all heard of Carillion PLC? I think everyone's heard of Carillion nowadays. Now, before it all went bust and it was all over the news, no one had heard of Carillion. It was described in the media as the biggest company in the world that you've never heard of. Well, I knew Carillion only too well because I was seconded to them in the NHS when I was a hospital porter. But that's an example of what we're talking about here. And it seems that this kind of policy also exists within the ET cover-up and research operation, the UFO program that the government has, and governments of all countries have. They just let private companies deal with it. And it's a very incestuous corporate conspiracy because Thomas Wilson did eventually manage to meet some of the people behind it, but he had to go to this darkened room and these guys in suits were there. None of them were in uniform, they were all in civilian suits. And their names were all Dr. Mr. something. There's no Colonel, General or no military titles at all. And he was basically told, he was given a few basic bits of information, basically said, look, just let us handle it. We'll take it from here, you just do your job, little boy. And of course, that's very demeaning, he's not used to this sort of thing. And that's why he decided to speak out. Fascinating story, the Wilson Memo. Fascinating. And of course, now everyone, Storm Area 51 is, I think, you 3/4 an hour, did you say, Miles?
You're fine.
Okay. Now, Storm Area 51 is a bit of a joke.
Still past 2 if you want.
Oh, right, cheers, mate. Storm Area, of course, everyone's heard of this, it was actually in the news. This started from nothing. It started from some basement-dwelling kid who decided to just put this meme out. Let's storm Area 51 and see them aliens. They can't stop all of us. And when this went viral, it was really quite incredible because there were several really amusing videos that came out. It was really funny. But what happened was this kid, I can't remember the name of the kid who started it, he'd been watching the Joe Rogan Experience and he said that this has inspired him. I suspect he watched the programme with Bob Lazar or with Annie Jacobson because those were about the whole Area 51 scenario. And the idea was that everyone would meet at the end of Groom Lake Road and they'd run towards the base, and it's Naruto-style running. I mean, is anyone here under 15 years of age? Right, you won't know what Naruto running. I didn't either, but it's basically you run like this. We bowed over with your arms behind your back. It's from a character in a computer game. And apparently 2 million people signed up for this, and there was real concern. Nevada called a state of emergency, and Lincoln County, where Area 51 was, there were police roadblocks and everything. And luckily, 2 million people did not turn up and try to raid the base, because it would have been awful. I mean, I myself spoke out against it. I said, it's a bit of fun, have a laugh, but please don't try and do it for real. Because the camo dudes there, if large numbers of people are running towards the base, the camo dudes will open fire and there will be a carnage. Because they can stop all of you, that's the thing. And they will do. It's far better, that kind of energy could be put far better into the kind of things that we're doing about raising awareness, giving out information. You get to stay alive that way. Yeah, so I'm glad that as it happened, there was only one arrest. Only a handful of people actually approached the base and there was no trouble. There was a police roadblock, one guy was arrested, no one got hurt. Most people just went to the rock festival and the UFO exhibitions that were nearby. And it's probably going to become a regular thing, and there'll be no storming. But what I hope is that storming won't be necessary. As I've said, this kind of false martyrdom will get you nowhere. It won't help at all. I think the solution is to end the climate of secrecy that means that things like Area 51 and other bases, because it's not just Area 51, there are other military establishments that I'm sure have decisive physical evidence of UFOs and aliens in them. Area 51 is merely symbolic of that truth embargo, that cover-up that we all know so well and don't love. So it's great fun, and the fact that it was viral, the fact that it was so popular, I think is a healthy sign. I spoke to Steve Bassett about this actually, I interviewed him on this subject, and he and I both felt that as nonsensical and stupid and basically typical of the internet youth this was, it represents an important and very, very significant development, which I think is a step in the right direction. Now, funnily enough, the Space Force came about around about the same time. We're going to have a huge Space Force, says President Trump, and we're going to make the Iranians pay for it. Yeah. Can they build a wall across space? That's the question. Keep those Iranians people out. Now, this is just one of the many really funny memes that came out about this. And there was so much hilarity associated with this subject when President Trump made this announcement that I think people maybe didn't all appreciate the seriousness of this particular event. The idea of a Space Force is not a new thing as such. There have been elements of various governments that operate in space in a military capacity, or indeed France also has its own version of this, as does Russia. And there's military interest and intelligence interest in space ever since the launch of the first spy satellites, and indeed the Star Wars SDI program, Space Defense Initiative, which was last started by Ronald Reagan, and the Russians did their own version of that to shoot down missiles. So the idea of weaponizing space is not a new one. However, the establishment of a specific force is an important sign. I think President Trump was trying to make a specific statement, and the fact that he made this statement at this particular time, which was just this year, when it could have been at any other time, and when it's connected, this all came in the same time period as the ATIP footage was released, as more and more news stories started breaking about UFOs. I thought to myself, why now? Now, the serious plans for the Space Force are, the establishment of an entire armed force is complicated. For example, what kind of hardware will it have? How will it organise itself? Will it rely on just rockets? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? Because a serious Space Force could never be one involving just rockets. It would have to be part of the secret space program, which involves far more sophisticated craft that have mastered free energy and anti-gravity propulsion. It's ironic, actually, that we see rockets as the latest thing. We have this term rocket scientist. Rocket scientist is like someone really clever, you know, a rocket scientist. The rocket scientists, the term refers to Wernher von Braun. Wernher von Braun developed the V2 missile for the Nazis in World War II that dropped a lot of ordnance on the heads of people in London. He was then seconded and sequestered to the United States via Operation Paperclip. He was one of the public figures to do so. There were a lot of secret people involved. I mean, you may have heard of some of the people talking about the Bell and the Beehive and Hans Kamler and people like that. I don't have time to tell you about this. There's a lot of other videos online about that. But von Braun designed rockets that launched the Apollo program, Skylab, and these various other NASA, everything that came out of NASA, the space shuttle, etc., using the same basic design of engine as powered those 1940s missiles. Now, they became more sophisticated, they developed over the years, they become slightly more efficient, better, things like that. But it's ancient technology, and I was watching a video today with Miles and Julie, and the NASA speak quite openly about the danger as well as the inefficiency and primitiveness of their engines. They talk about, oh, you know, they all get broken turbine blades and things like this. Large numbers of astronauts have been killed in the quest to build efficient rockets. These 200-ton columns of fuel, essentially. That's most of its fuel, these rockets. Laboriously chugging their way up into low Earth orbit, just a couple of 100 feet up. carrying a payload smaller than an average lorry. Is that the best we can do? Is that the best we have done? No. The secret space program is not one involving rockets. It's involving far more sophisticated craft. And when Trump made this announcement about a Space Force, he cannot have said what he did and expect to be taken seriously unless he might plan to say other things. I know this is a contentious matter, but I think President Trump is a good man. I don't think he's a part of the Illuminati. I don't think he is someone whom the Illuminati wanted in the presidency. I think they wanted Hillary Clinton, who was a chip off the old block when it comes to the New World Order, along with her crooked husband, who was a two-term president in the 90s. They wanted her, and they got Trump instead through a breakdown of their control system. And again, this comes into Brexit and other things, which I won't talk about today. I've got other videos about that and talks about that. But it's a sign of the times, this post-2016 world we live in. And we should take hope from that. I think at some point he's going to have to say more. Otherwise his Space Force is just a joke. And even though people treat it as a joke, it can't be a joke. He wouldn't have said it if he meant it as a joke. Which means he's going to have to say more about the way this Space Force is going to be constructed, the kind of hardware it's going to have. You know, it's funny that I was talking again, it's amazing the insights I've been having over the last couple of days with my friends Colin, Julie and Miles. Q, who is of course QAnon, and I know, it's a shill then, it's a disinfo, it's a psyop, I know, some of you don't agree with me on this, fair enough. I've explained why I think QAnon is a real thing, it's a real phenomenon. What is the letter Q? It's a circle. Now, I was talking to my friends about circles, about cycles we get into, and some of these cycles involve revenge, counter-revenge, oppression and oppressed and things like that. It's a hatred and counter-hatred and things like this. This is some of the things that the Illuminati encourage us to have. Well, a Q is like a circle, but it's got a little line through it, a capital Q. As if it's breaking the circle. It's breaking the cycle. And this is maybe why QAnon has chosen that letter to represent themselves. I don't have any firm answers at the moment for anything. I don't have any absolute solutions and absolute answers and guarantees. I don't have any guarantees for anything I've said here today. But I do think that the time now is like a time we've never experienced before. Certainly within my lifetime. And I think within the lifetime of almost anyone alive today. But the conference we're having now may well go down in history as one of the conferences that occurred when the world changed. I wish I could tell you more about the details of what that change would involve, but it's possible we don't know yet, because it may be a kind of change that we can't yet comprehend, but we're going to see emerge. And when that happens, you people in this room can feel very proud of yourselves, because you took the time and the effort to come here in a day where it's not very nice weather, it's a Sunday, but you took the time and effort to come here. Small in number though you might be, you have had an impact, and you have chosen to take that decision when lots of other people didn't, and lots of other people in the future will regret that they didn't. To be here, you have to be an optimist. You have to be, because obviously we live in times that are hopeful, but they're also very frightening. It's that old Chinese paradox of the, something that means both crisis and opportunity, for which there's no word in English. Now, some people don't like being optimists because they're frightened of being disappointed. And indeed, if you are an optimist and you're proven wrong, then you will be disappointed. But if you're a pessimist and you're proven wrong, you miss out on all the fun. You uninvite yourself from the party. So be an optimist. There's no guarantees. The worst that can happen is you're disappointed, but if you're not, just think how wonderful that would be. And I think, I've got a feeling the talk I've just given will be maybe part one of maybe a series. A series that is to come. A series based on things that even I don't know about yet. And I'm the one who prepared this talk. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be fun finding out. Thank you very much, all of you. Anyone want to ask me anything? I've got a bit of time left. Anyone else got any questions? No, that's
that's fine.
I must have covered everything to your satisfaction.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben and Jones. We'll have a short pause of maybe 10 minutes coffee break. But I think the bar won't be open until for the whole day, so it's probably time to have a little 15-minute break. And then Jane will start with Jane. So we will start by 20 past with Jane. Okay, bye for now.
Well, the conference is over. This is the stage. Miles is just picking pie and everything up. It's been a really good one. I'll say more later, so you can go to the pub, but it's been a really, really good conference. Okay, I'm heading back to the Southgate Inn. I've just dropped Julie off. I went back to Miles's place. I got a spare set of keys. She picked up her stuff, and now Julie's now off to Avebury. She feels guided there by her spiritual guides. Have said she needs to go there. And one thing I've learned, and not everyone in this business learns, is you don't ignore your spiritual guides. So I wish her luck. I hope she'll have a nice time there tomorrow. She's staying there overnight in the hostel. I'm back at the Southgate, and so I'm just going to join the other guys. I think we're going to get something to eat because I'm pretty hungry now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Colin. We've just had a meal. We've went into the One Spice. It's a lovely curry house here in Devizes. And now we're going somewhere else. I imagine we're going back to the Southgate for another beer. And to be honest, I'll only have one, maybe two, but probably one. And I'm going to go to bed because I'm really exhausted.
One spice and one beer. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. After the last night's insomnia, I'm kind of like...
Flagging.
Yeah, I'm flagging a bit. That's 2 nights of insomnia in a row. I haven't had that since my psychic attack, so I'm hoping it won't go for a third night. I don't want a hat trick when it comes to insomnia. Because tomorrow, Colin and I are both not working tomorrow, so we're not in any rush to get home. So I think we've got plans for tomorrow, and I'll say more about that tomorrow morning. But we're not going to rush off. There's more we can do. So we're going to head. There's Miles striding ahead. I swore Miles was a hospital porter in his past life. He must have been. He walks so fast. He must be. He really is.
Man possessed.
He does, yeah. I can't keep up with him.
He could be a super soldier, of course.
Oh yeah, that's another possibility. Oh, here we go. Well, good morning. It's 9:15 on Monday the 25th of November 2019, and I slept like a log last night. I was in bed by 11 o'clock and I went straight off to sleep, and I had a wonderful sleep. I needed that. Thank goodness my insomnia didn't run for a third night. That's one hat trick I don't want to win. So that's the only time it's run for 2 nights, actually, the last 2 nights. And so now I'm waking up now. I feel refreshed. I'm in the house of the one and only Miles Johnston, and this here is his guest bedroom. Well, he's got several colliers in the other one. We've got a nice window there. As you see, it's grey and damp again. Lovely picture there on the wall. You might recognise that. It features in some of his videos. This beautiful painting here of Stonehenge. I don't know if that's like by Lloyd Canning. I don't think so. It's lovely anyway. His videos from Maria Wheatley have that one in because she likes that sort of thing. Nice photo of New York, obviously dated before 2001. Miles's house is an amazing place, actually. It's absolutely packed with electronic equipment from floor to ceiling, every room. This room is kind of an exception, although there's stuff under the bed, there's stuff in the drawers, there's a couple of things at the foot of the bed, and of course there's these old vinyl discs there for music. Yeah, it's packed with electronic equipment, computers. There's some old stuff like old valves and very old electronics. It's almost like an electronics museum here. There's some mag amps and some old switches and stuff that he used to use in the pirate radio industry in the Northern Ireland in the 70s and stuff like that. And there's all reel-to-reel tapes, VHSs, all sort of old stuff packed in everywhere, wires, plugs and bulbs, and literally it's like it's a very neat and tidy house actually for a single man. I mean, compared to the place I live in, which is full of single guys, it's very, very neat and tidy, very very, very clean. But it's like all the furniture, the settees, the beds, chairs, tables, they've all been sort of shoved in behind the electronic stuff. It's like the electronic stuff is all the electronic stuff is packed around everywhere, and then the usual furniture has been squeezed in between that. So anything not made of copper or silicon or metal or plastic or all the other things that form his electronic equipment, anything not made of that looks completely out of place. So it gives the house a very strange atmosphere. Very strange indeed. I mean, I stayed here once before, and I actually had I think I had an electromagnetic warfare attack in this room, lying in this very bed. This was a couple of years back, and I hope that's only happened once. It's not happened since, but I had terrible tinnitus, whining in the ears, and that hasn't happened again. So maybe it's just a one-off. It was like an electromagnetic warfare attack. That's what it felt like, as people describe it. Oh, I think everyone's on a bit of a high now because of the very, very successful conference yesterday. But we're all tired. Even Miles came home. We got home like about 10 o'clock. We didn't want to stay out very late. For Miles, that's virtually a lie-in. Virtually an early night. A very early night. So I'm going to have breakfast now, and I think we've got some plans for today. So we don't just sit around idly. I think we may be doing some filming or some recording. I don't know for certain. We'll soon find out. But first we've got breakfast, and I think we're going to go out for breakfast actually, because there's not much food left in the house. There's a nice view from Miles's window here. It's raining. Now it's started raining, and it's very dismal out there. It has been since I got here. Not seen sunlight actually, or sunshine since I got here. And Miles lives in a quite nice modern area here. Very neat. Like much of Devizes, it's attractive, it's pleasant, it's peaceful. Lots of it's a major residential area. I do wonder though, the people who live around here, what do they actually think of their rather eccentric neighbour? I do sometimes think that Miles must be the subject of an awful lot of gossip in in hushed voices over the counter of the village shop. Information is exchanged. You know what he did last night? You know that's these people have been to see him, going on about flying saucers. And, yeah. We're in New Society, which is like a breakfast bar in Devizes, and Colin here is just reading. What is it we're reading? It's the Daily Mail for today, 25th of November, and we've just come across a rather disturbing story. Is a satanic cult on the loose in the New Forest? Look at that, pentagrams, animals killed, 666 door on churches. Now, the thing is that, like, some animals that are killed, they're blamed on cults and things like that, but they're actually the mutilations. So it depends what kind of injuries they have.
2 sheep were found stabbed to death and marked with pentagrams. 3 cattle were also fatally stabbed. A heifer was injured, and the church was sprayed with a satanic symbol.
That's very worrying. I mean, obviously, if they're stabbed to death and they have pentagrams on, it's not the mutes. But even so, I mean, if that's the case, if it's a kind of devil rides out situation here.
Could be the return of the Dark Lord.
Well, you know what I mean. It's so scary stuff we just come across here while we're having breakfast. Colin and I just had a lovely breakfast in the New Society, a very Orwellian name for a pleasant breakfast bar. We'd like to report a UFO, large circular object at 25 degree elevation, and etc, etc. Actually, it's the sun. Believe it or not, that is the sun you see there. That is blue sky you see above you. It's the first time I've seen this in a number of days. It's very, very pleasant indeed. And we're now going to go and meet Miles, who is he is gone to meet Claire, who is a lady he knows, and we're looking forward to meeting her as well. So we'll head along now to, what was it called? This place, the Italian place.
Italian place.
Pizza Express. Is Andrew in there, do you think?
Andrew.
yeah. All right, so it's a pleasant morning now here in Devizes, and we've got to go past Cafe Nero, and it's on the left, and he'll be in there with Claire, this lady called Claire. And knowing Miles, from what I know about him, and the kind of women he hangs out with, she's going to be stunningly attractive. So Colin and I are very much looking forward to meeting her. Just going to show you a little bit of Miles's collection here, and there's some amazing things here. I mean, you see it goes back, there's another layer behind this one. I mean, he's got things behind there and things behind there. I mean, I don't have time to show you more, but just there's Dr. Richard Sauder, an entire collection of VHSs there. What Happened on the Moon, original VHS. I mean, some of this it's not just amazingly informative, some of these are quite rare. Original box set of UFOs, the best evidence. All VHSs. And anyone younger than me is going, Ben, what's a VHS? What's that? Oh. Can you imagine Netflix in a black plastic brick? That's a VHS. Got it, kids? But look at this. You can't get these anymore.
NTSC.
He's got a signed copy.
You can't even. You have to have American. I don't know.
NTSC is American format, yeah, for VHS, and you can't. It's like equivalent, like Regional 1. You know, you can't play some of these on ordinary VHS players. But there was a very rare one signed, wasn't there? Which is the signed one he's got?
Yeah, there was one from Linda Moulton Howe. Was this one?
Yeah, look, there's Alien Life Forms, Linda Moulton Howe. And look at the back. It's signed.
It there, but I think
it's signed.
September 3rd, 1995.
Yeah, and let's have a look down here.
Sheffield.
Honestly, I could misspend my youth on these shelves. The Sheffield Incident, Max Burns. Yeah. I'll show you some more shelves as well, because Mara's got several
stuff
shelves.
behind it, it's not just this.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got time to go through all of it, unfortunately, but it goes back another layer there. Look at that. Golden Anniversary UFO Briefing. And up here we have. There's lots of there is some mainstream stuff like the story of the space shuttle, but here we have Fast Walkers, which is very good. It's a very good documentary there. Fast Walkers is the code name. It's like UAP. It's a code name that NASA used for UFOs. David Icke. Now this is a David Icke one I've not seen. Our Time to Shine. Standing with Stones I've got. That's the kind of Maria Wheatley stuff. That's pretty good. The Citizen. He's got the full DVD of the Citizen hearing on disclosure. So that is amazing. I mean, that's the one that Steve Bassett sent to all the Congress people and the senators in the US. Oh, To Catch a Circle Maker. This is some of Miles' own productions here. Alien Blood. More VHS's, rare ones. UFOs, the best evidence. Bill Cooper. Down here we have Crop Circles. Who Killed the Electric Car? That's very good. Some of these you can get on YouTube, but still, these are still very important. I would say collector's items. Some, DVDs and VHSs of them are collector's items, even though they are available for free online. There's the Chris Everard documentary, which is very good. Illuminati, Secrets, Place and Spirit World, all very, very good, those. The Disclosure Dialogues by Stephen Bassett, highly recommended. Classic I Know What I Saw. There's an Ian R. Crane, Population Reduction, BP, Out of the Blue. God, there's so much. 2012 we're already in it. That's Patricia. Is this Patricia? Oh, Patty Greer. Sorry, not Patricia Corey. Right, oh my goodness. These are the classic DVD recordings of the Leeds Exopolitics event. Now you'll know I did a video reportage of the 2010 one, but there's all these speakers here. David Griffin, Richard D. Hall, Anthony Beckett, and here more of them. Stephen Bassett, Mary Rodwell, etc. And oh my goodness.
Yeah, Stephen Greer, 2000.
Oh, this is live at Leeds. Dr. Stephen Greer.
It's year 2000, so this is even before. This is around maybe just a few months after the Disclosure one. Was it early March? Wasn't it in 2000?
It was May 2001.
And that gives you an idea of some of the other videos around at the time, like Martin Stubbs, So this is like
Dr. Ryan Wood,
Graham Birdsall
who wrote that
and
book.
stuff.
Yeah, Graham Birdsall's now sadly passed away. Larry Warren and Peter Robbins. Well, you'll never see those two on the stage to get together. Alan Godfrey, who the police officer who had an amazing encounter in 1980. And this is from. Did you say 2000?
This is 15th of September, 17th of September 2000. So even this is before pre 9/11.
It's pre the May. This is a few months.
I think he died 2003. Was it?
Who Birdsall?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I got that right.
Did he organise this?
He would have done, but I mean, that might be quite an interesting watch because I don't know.
Well, it
what
must
he
be
was
quite
saying.
rare.
I mean, that would have been a few months after the disclosure.
Yeah, and do you know what? I mean, no, it was beforehand because the big disclosure press conference was from May 2000 to 2001.
Oh, was it? Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually.
So that's a few months old. That is a very rare
It looked quite
VHS
a long one.
copy.
I don't know
Yeah,
how long is that?
it's got quite a lot of
90
tape in
minutes,
it. 90, yeah. So that is a rare Greer classic. That is. He's looking quite young there.
I'm sure that is on the phone, but these one of these live at Leeds ones, they're quite good. I think they're quite rare because I don't think you can't get them on DVD.
No.
Unless someone's uploaded it to YouTube, you're not going to be able to see it.
It may be on YouTube. I mean, even if it is, that is a collector's item. There's some mainstream stuff. Terminator
There's some
3.
that aren't even this one. I don't know if you've ever seen this one, Ben. But it's,
That really jumped the shark and nuked the fridge. I wonder.
that's actually
even in a bottle.
That's actually a film. I seem to remember. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but it's a bit of a.
Is it like a horror thing?
A creepy cast from a special effects wizard behind Reanimator.
Oh man, it's
There's some gold here. I have to say, there's so much gold. I don't know. If you like your UFO stuff, then I mean...
there's hundreds of hours of stuff.
Las Vegas 1990... George Knapp.
19...
Put 2, but he's put a 0 around it, so maybe...
1990... Oh my god, that's an old one. That must be the early Bob Lazar stuff.
Second series... But someone's put a 0 over it.
The old Scotchy one. It's Scotch...
Some of these
it's one of these old Scotch recording tapes. Again, I'm showing my age now. But
look, there's a Stuart Swerdlow.
These are the ones, I mean, I'm showing my age, but these were the ones you used to buy. You could buy them from shops and go out and just record stuff off the TV. Montauk.
Language of Hyperspace, UFO Congress.
1999.
Again, like an NTC, so I don't know if... I know Mars has probably got the technology to put this on it.
You can convert them quite easily, yeah. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of people, if you have these old VHSs, by the way, and you think they're invaluable, then don't throw them out. Take them to take them down to like a studio or someone, or some electronics firm, and they will convert them for you. They'll turn them into an MP4 or something like that, and you can watch them on your computer. The Roswell Artifact. Now that's quite a new one. Pierce back, yeah, that's quite a most recent one. What else have we got? There's a few mainstream ones here. That's all mainstream there. Mainstream. The Shamans of the Amazon. Nice. The Phoenix Lights. Paul Davids. I know, but Paul Davids is the guy who did the Roswell. Oh wow. This is Paul Davids. This is a lecture he did, because he's the guy who was on Hapanmo Radio and he did like the Roswell movie. That's brilliant. Farah Yosu, she saw Farah Yuradozu. She's the one who photographed that International UFO Congress. She photographed those weird flying saucer with the aliens in Turkey. Richard Dolan, Linton Mulhall, George Knapp, Hayden Wilson, David Wilcott, Brian Wood. Oh man, bloody blah. All mainstream. Let's have a look down here. That's mainstream stuff down here. Oh no, here we go. Remote viewing. I could never go through all these. I'm just going to go and get a shot of the upstairs shelf. So you've got another shelf I want to look at. The shelf Miles has in the big main guest bedroom. I got the small one, and I could misspend my youth in this bookshelf alone. I'll tell you. Above Top Secret, classic, one of the most classic UFO books of all time. There's a kind of mini cricket bat there, a sort of Hobbit's cricket bat. I'll cover up. The Facts They Don't Want You to Know by Nicholas Hilliard. Let's have a look down here. Indigo Children. Cloak of the Illuminati. Tracks in the Psychic Wilderness. Really big books here. Where Dr. Judy Wood's Where Do the Towers Go? UFOs and How to See Them by Jenny Randalls. Big, massive book about witchcraft. Tales from the That's my favourite of David Icke's books, I think. Tracks in the Psychic Wilderness. Huge collection. Oh, the ring. All the ring. She's got all the Ringing Cedars book, not the first one. 5, 6, 7, 8. All the Ringing Cedars. Alien Rapture. Yeah, Ed Fouché. Now that's a classic Area 51 story, that is. Brad Steiger and Edgar Fouché. Sadly passed away. Up here we have UFO. Now this I recommend, UFOs on the National Security State. I've read part 2, not read part 1. Then McTaggart. So you see here. There's some really old, like Andrei Puharich, really old psychic books and things like that. No barcodes on. Again, if you've got any of these books, hold on to them because these are skeptic books as well. It's a very. I actually did a review of this one by Lindsay Porter, who are the Illuminati, which I've read. And my phone is making weird noises. I don't know why that is. Oh, bugger off! Hang on, my phone is mucking around. Let me just get rid of that. One moment, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Adventures Beyond the Body. I think that is. Who's this by? How would a body experiment travel? Is that? Yeah. Well, oh, that's the Monroe, Robert Monroe. No, it's not. It's William Buhlman, Psychic Warrior. Yeah. As you see, there's 2 layers of books here. I can't go into all of them. Uri Geller's book there, who was recruited to. Uri Geller was recruited to the CIA Mossad remote viewing program by Andrei Puharich, who wrote that book, and Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff, who's with TTSA. Andy Thomas, book on crop circles by Andy Thomas. Andy Thomas is really great on crop circles. The Brookhaven Consciousness. Oh, that looks fascinating. There's Sitchin. I never could get into Sitchin, actually. I found him very difficult. I read one of his books. I sort of ground through it and then couldn't really go on from them. I don't know why. I'm not anti him. Red Pill Press. Oh, he's Laura Knight Yadchik. The Secret History. Oh, yes. I've read another of her books and she's very good. And there's a 9/11 The Ultimate Truth again, Yadchik, somebody called Quinn. Sacred Island. Ruled by Secrecy, Jim Mars, absolute classic. And if you've got time, and if you... Vatican, if you can read this giant bumper book called Vatican Assassins. Human Devolution, Roslin. Oh, Alien Investigator, Tony Dodd. That, I think, is a very classic UFO exopolitical book. Lots of very interesting information in there about crash retrievals and things. Underworld by Graham Hancock. It's a paperback. Yeah. And, of course, The Left Eastgate. Now, sadly, out of print. But there's a new book coming out soon. And a film called Capel Green. Oh. Again, I wish I could even look at the titles of all these books, let alone read them. I mean, yeah, wow, incredible. And some more DVDs and things here that Miles has. Incredible stuff here. You know, Miles could open a library for loonies, and he'd be very, very successful, I'll tell you. And there's some more on this shelf here. Nick Hollisham's Terror on the Tube. UFO Case Files of Scotland by Malcolm Robinson. I've read a lot of these, yeah. Death on Mars. Genesis. You can pause and read these anyway if you want. Rowney Lerner, Lucannon Kilder. Bright Light on Black Showers. The late great Rowney Lerner, Lucannon Kilder. And of course Dark Moon, Apollo and the Whistleblowers. Yeah. Amazing. We're sitting in the conservatory now and it's raining. This is one of Miles' got this lovely conservatory, and we found a real unique one here.
Actually, I might have this one myself, but
assorted television UFO reports.
But yeah, so basically we're just saying about Graham Burns, who died in 2003. So I'm thinking maybe that must be one of his last ever appearances. He died in September. I just looked that up. He died in September 2003, and
so that must be the year he died. Yeah.
But I mean, he obviously was doing a show with Rich and Judy, then so maybe we can watch that later.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Dennis Plunkett. I don't know if he's still alive now. He was involved in UFO research. There was some news story I remember at the time.
Oh, Dr. David Clarke. Ah, the one and only. Richard and Judy, Dr. David Clarke. Oh, bow-eyed meteors. No, that's Andy Roberts, isn't it? His best mate.
Chris Martin, you don't really see on the scene now. He used to be like a contactee, and funny enough, a little story about Chris Martin was I went on a Skywatch, one of the first ever Skywatches, and I always remember it. It was over Primrose Hill in London, which is quite a well-to-do part of London, but quite a famous hill, and we were on a Skywatch there, and Chris would go into a meditation, and funny enough, like within an hour. Oh, not even an hour, sorry, it was literally maybe 10-20 minutes or so of him going into a meditative state where we actually, no, it wasn't at night time even, it was, you know, I don't know, I guess late afternoon or something, and so funny enough, like a white orb appeared trailing across the sky, and I was with, who is it, Michael Lewis, who some people might know, and yeah, he was quite jealous because he said, I've been on hundreds of these Skywatches, and like you turn up for like your first Skywatch, and Chris Martin's manifested one of his oval like white orbs that was moving across the sky. So yeah, I know. Yeah, Chris is still around, but I don't think he's actually into the UFO stuff as much as he was back then. But,
What's on the back of this? What's on the back?
I don't know. It's just nothing.
This must
there.
be like a. This
but yeah,
special,
I actually think I have this DVD myself. Actually, there was a few, and I was just peeling back that because there was a few.
This must be.
Ones,
I mean, this is absolutely unique. This must be unique.
Yeah.
It's probably you won't find. I bet you don't find any of these online.
Mysterious World.
Oh, I loved that. I used to love that when I was a kid. Ian R. Crane, Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World, Cygnus Europe's. Oh, I got that Europe's as well.
I've got that one.
Mayan calendar. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
See, Miles has been collecting these for years and years. So before, when I was a kid, he was doing this sort of thing. The Secrets of World War II. Yeah, I mean, he's been doing this.
There's been like secret. I hope that was he eating like Marmite on Toast or something.
That's incredible. It's more than beginning, Miles. It's bloody it's been raining pretty hard now. Good job we're indoors, mate.
UFOs in Ireland. Oh Jesus! I'll talk about back in a sec.
Yeah, there's UFOs in Ireland. Isn't that again? That's looks like a rare one.
Wow, that looks like the Adamski. I don't know if that's the one.
Yeah, it looks like an Adamski craft.
Tell me, Captain Strange. I don't know what the hell.
But again, that's something you don't. UFOs over London by Christopher Martin.
Oh, that's the guy I was just talking about. So I think he was getting a lot of footage. The Enigma Channel. There you go.
I could make it like a 3-hour documentary on simply what Miles has on his shelf. It's incredible. Really amazing stuff. And yeah, I mean, these are absolutely priceless. I bet some of this material you won't find anywhere else.
I didn't realise Intruders in the Night, Christopher Martin describes his 5-year quest to capture these small silent craft and videotape. Chris has studentally been watching the skies using state-of-the-art digital camcorders. So South East London, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a bit about Graham Shepherd, the experienced airline pilot for British Airways.
Yeah, he was a friend of Timothy Good's.
Yeah, he's got some amazing stories.
He had a rather strange. I remember he had a rather strange incident in Puerto Rico.
You're right, yeah.
Where he went, his plane was sort of like transported to another area. Painful deceptions by Eric Hoosh. Oh, that's to do with 9/11.
Yeah.
Crop 360 crop circles. That's the Alexanders, is it? General wormholes.
Or serial worm.
Oh right, yeah.
But this is all. Oh my god, that looks quite rare. There's
UFO info.
lots of TV bits.
Good grief!
I mean, you could probably have.
My
this is
goodness.
like
Alan Godfrey, Puerto Rico.
It's like a wet dream.
John Lennon. John Lennon. That I think his interviews online.
Of Praise.
Don't know who some of these people are. Phoenix Live.
Maybe Miles has labelled it from sounds of his own.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's more on the other side.
Barry, hold on, whoever that is. Jeff Willis, I think he's still around.
Blink 182. Oh, that's Blink Out. So I was thinking Blink 182 is Tom DeLonge's band. Mars, UFO, Hotspot, Phobos, Men in Black. Honestly, man, I mean, we could go on. We could go on. I mean, there's so much. We could do two.
The stuff here that even Miles probably doesn't even know.
Yeah, Miles, you have a collector's items here. You know, you really do. We've just been going over your collection here.
I'm going to tell you here right now, inside this mind, I have all of this catalogue. I know intricately everything I've got.
He's read every book.
I've had for years. But if you ask me any questions on it, I will pretend I have forgotten.
This is why Miles is still alive. They don't dare kill him because it's all in here. He hasn't written it down anyway, so he's got all this information.
Oh my god. There you are.
A little bit more here. UFOs, the secret history. This is probably my favourite part of the shells. limited edition crop circle videos. There's some mainstream stuff here, but Ancient Earth Mysteries 2003, Jordan Maxwell. We found some like we found a couple of like their shape assessment cover up. That is really old. That's an EBE winner. Let's have a look at the back again. Yeah, EBE award winner. UFO Congress. When was that? What's the date?
That one was.
Does it say?
Oh dear.
Who's it with?
1993 the video.
Oh, let's have a look. Who's that on the front? Robert Dean. Oh, great Robert Dean. Oh, his shape. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Europe. He was like involved in cosmic top secret stuff. Yeah. Corso, as I said, I've reviewed his book. I don't think much of it, but Jaime Rodriguez. I know Jaime Masson. I mentioned Fast Walkers. Now this citizen hearing on disclosure. This is what was sent to all the congressmen and senators by Stephen Bassett. Every single one of them. I forgot, it's 300 of them, 100 senators and however many representatives. Citizenhearing.org. And you know that I've done the entire radio programmes on this as it was happening in 2013. This is absolutely fascinating classic stuff, that is. Now, let's have a look along here. Aliens: The Complete Truth. Now this is a multi-DVD. I thought this was a VHS collection. It's a multi-DVD, so there's a lot on there. What else have I looked at?
UFOs, conspiracy, sex or religion? I don't know.
Sex or religion? Oh my goodness.
Alien sources hidden beneath the surface of the earth. Was humanity seeded on earth by creatures from the Bible? Is the government building secret food fighters? Who is Harriet? What is happening to mankind's cows? These are another probing questions posed by UFOs, conspiracy, sex,
probing questions.
Or religion.
No pun intended.
That's going to reel them in.
And believe it or not, we also have something. These are collector's items. John Rapaport. I remember him. He's still going. He still does
Michael
things.
Lindman. Do you remember Michael Lindman?
Yeah. Yes, I do. The UFOs by Michael Lindman. Yes, I do. I remember him.
I thought he was still going.
Yeah. Pause and read, ladies and gentlemen. Now this here is a JVC Super Pro E30 recordable VHS. Now, for those of you who are old enough to remember, which is probably the minority of my listeners, which shows how ancient Colin and I am. When we were kids, Colin and I used to buy these. Used to buy these very cheap from shops. And you could take them home and record things off the television. And I had a huge collection of tapes, which I recorded things with, which I recorded before. This is before I got the internet and everything like that. What's this here? What's on here? Ray Wardle.
Telly Savalas. Black Helicopter.
Alien Earth Mysteries, Linda Moulton Howe. Channeling by Telly Savalas.
Well, he was interested in
Kennedy assassination.
He was Kojak, wasn't he? Telly Savalas?
He was. Telly Savalas channeling. What was he? Because he was, of course, played Kojak. Yes, he's most famous for playing Kojak. Las Vegas. Linda Moulton Howe, 1990. Good grief. How many of you were born before that? November 1992. Got the Philadelphia experiment here.
Adventure Beyond Time.
That should never have happened. 50 years. That's really interesting. That about they made the ship disappear. This is like an amazing one here. This is Vladimir's Underground Panel Whole Life Expo, UFOs on the Illuminati, New World Order, American Academy of Dissident Scientists. Doesn't have a date on it, but it has here. Oh, hang on. Yes, it does. Michael Hesseman, it's 2000, it's magazine, maybe that's the year it happened, magazine 2000. There's Michael Hesseman, Anthony J. Hilder, who sadly passed away, Jordan Maxwell, Albini Philadelphia Experiment, some other people I don't know. But this looks interesting. It's a double VHS. And that looks very interesting. I'd be interested to see that.
It's got one big one at a time. The eclipse on July the 11th, 1991.
Oh, this is based...
Messengers of Destiny in Mexico.
This is a series. There's a whole series of these. Yeah. There was another one called with...
First of over 40 videos.
Yeah, there was one presented by... There's one I've got, actually. You can get it on YouTube now, but I got an old VHS of it, presented by William Shatner, called... what's it called? Chariots of the Gods or something. It goes into the Eric von Daniken stuff. It's from mid-70s and presented by William Shatner. Very good, that is. Bruce Cathy in Conference, 1992. Earth Grid Harmonies. That's very interesting. Nexus magazine. Oh right, Nexus magazine shows how long Nexus has been going from the UFO's been going for, rather. Amazing. What's this here? Undeniable Evidence with Colin Andrews.
That's quite a classic.
Co-author of the best-selling second evidence. Undeniable Evidence. Plant crystals under the microscope. This is talking about the. I'll show you something on Miles's ornament shelf, right? This here is a porthole from the cruise ship Canberra, so that's an actual classic thing. And he's got the old tape music centre there. Now, this is what I mean by it being like an electronics museum. It's an very old-fashioned reel-to-reel tape machine, which you used to use in the old days. And there's VHS players, VHS DVD twin players.
That's a classic machine.
It is, mate, yeah.
Thousands of pounds. It's worth even more than thousands of pounds because that was the original thing that played the media on Kiss AM 1008 in 1987.
Yeah, this is the original pirate.
That's the one the intelligence transfer was transmitted on to all of Europe. And that machine there, that very machine.
Well done, yeah. You cleaned the black goo off it, which is nice.
There's no black goo in that. There's only black goo in the BBC. So
oh, right. Oh,
sorry,
good.
but I'm Gary Heseltine here, and I've got a UFO magazine to prepare, but I just haven't quite got it out of my arse yet. Ooh.
Have you ever seen, have you done
this is amazing. Now, this here.
These two, the ones I got from HMV.
Oh, yeah. Now, these are original copies of the Bases.
I've actually donated it to the Bases Museum because I actually bought these. I think. Oh, right. I actually think I bought this either
Barry King, Programme Generated
Tower
Life
Records,
Forms,
London, or maybe somewhere like
Larry
that.
Warren is actually on these because he's one of the early witnesses. Where are all the UFOs? This is from 1994. Miles' original.
I'll show you the back of them because it's
this is absolute classic. Now, of course, you can watch these on YouTube. They are on there, but. These are the original VHSs. They are collector's items extraordinaire.
And back in the day, I mean, you'd look at the running time and see, well, that sounds like that's worth buying, because back in those days, VHS videos, sometimes they would sort of scam you with a 40-minute video, and you think, well, at least 90 minutes, you know, you're getting your money's worth.
That's 90 minutes now. This is a bit shorter.
This one's only 52. Yeah. But then,
what you could do is, now this is important, like...
It's got Bill Euhouse.
Yeah. In the days of VHS, what you did was, you opened it up and looked at the cassette.
Yeah, and then you could see basically how much tape was.
You see how much tape's in there.
And if they didn't have, because sometimes they were cheeky, they didn't have they wouldn't have a running time. So then you'd have to sort of analyse the actual tape around the actual video.
Yeah.
For the younger people, this is what's called a video cassette.
Well, this is
in a machine, and it would.
Don't get many of these now.
Actually, there's the original Marvel UFO.
There's some original ordering forms there for the actual distributor.
Communion.
If you look here,
there,
if you look here, now this is, you can see this is a long one. If you look in there, look at the tape. Plenty of tape in there. You look at the other one.
It's a bit on the thin side.
Yeah, and you can see there's very little tape in there.
Yeah.
You see the big gap there?
One way of working.
That's a short tape. That's a short cassette, and that's a long cassette. So you can actually, you always used to do that. You can't do that with DVDs. You can't tell.
No.
But you can with these. So that's how we used to do it in those days. So
I'm not sure.
very clever. There's all collection.
There's more serious stuff there. Oh no, that's a UFO cover-up. Earth Mystery, Strange Harvest, that's some of the Martin Howell stuff. Beam ships.
That is a brilliant.
That's really rare because that's so rare. Miles didn't even have that, so I've donated that to the Bases Museum.
Oh, that's your own copies. Well done. Let's go back over here. Now this here is very interesting. This little ornament here, this red rocket, is actually. I bet most of you don't know what this is. It's actually from one of the Tintin books. Now, if you like Tintin's great like comic graphic novel series by Hergé, who's a Belgian cartoonist. And there was one episode, it's like a double bill where they go to the moon. And this is the moon rocket. It's nuclear powered, and it flies to the moon from a fictional country called Sildavia. And they land on the moon, and there's like a stowaway, and it's a really exciting story. They almost run out of air, but they manage to get back to Earth, of course, in one piece. And on the subject of fictional moon rockets, here is the Apollo. This is the Apollo hardware here, the Saturn V with the command module and lunar module, which did not land on the moon. And so it's quite something.
Game. Alex Jones.
Oh yes, I have. Yes, that's very good.
There's it's almost like a greeny.
That's on DVD.
I noticed he hasn't actually opened off the.
Right.
You have to open it.
That could be a collector's item, isn't it?
But for the New World Order, our world government is just the beginning. Once in place, they can engage their plan to exterminate 80% of the world's population while enabling elites to live forever with the aid of advanced technology. For the first time, crusading filmmaker Alex Jones reveals a secret plan for humanity's extermination. Operation.
It's very good.
Although some people do say he's a bit of a controlled opposition.
Look, who hasn't been accused of being controlled opposition?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I had a little dig at some of the individuals last night who were having a.
Well, this one hasn't even been opened. I mean, I don't know.
Control Factor.
It's obviously so good that
this is a feature film.
Miles has never opened it. I mean, when your thoughts are not your own.
That's for Neil Sanders' thing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's actually a movie, that one.
Yeah, Psychiatry and Industry of Death.
Well,
oh, that's good. I've seen this. It's bloody good. This is really good.
Oh, there's a more recent 2010.
Yeah. They are great.
You were at the exhibit.
There was another Alex Jones one. I think it was the 9/11 one.
This guy died. This was Ed Grimley. He did something about the UFO wars.
UFO.
Great conspiracy. Disclosure in Brazil.
UFO disclosure in Brazil. That's the Virginia incident and things like that.
Yeah. Sure, that's Journey into the Hollow.
No, I used to think that might be true, but no, I don't. It's more likely than the flat Earth. I still don't think it's true.
Stargate.
David Kingston. Oh, that's wow. That is an unusual one, isn't it?
Well, already in it.
That's that Patty Greer documentary.
We've been through 2012.
Yeah. Out of the Blue. Now that's another classic one that was on TV. Nature of Peter Coyote's an actor, and that's there's some good stuff on there. UFOs, the best evidence. That sounds like a DVD equivalent of the. I've shown you the VHS of that earlier.
I saw that was a famous film.
Yeah, that's a classic old one. History Channel.
Disclosure Dialogues.
That's Stephen Bassett. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Asking an interesting question.
Well, I was thinking, what would Skeptics and people like Christopher French have on their bookshelf? And we're kind of joking that maybe he would have some of these. Obviously, if you're studying subjects to debunk or to be over sceptical of, then you would have some of these woo-woo books and stuff. But I'm thinking there would also be quite some hardcore sceptical books there.
Oh, there would, yeah, there would. I mean, it depends on the. You must actually excuse Miles's socks up there, by the way. They're just dry. They're in the background.
But could have worn me then.
Yeah, but I imagine it would be kind of like. I imagine it depends on the skeptic. If it's Professor Brian Cox, it would just be loads of stuff on physics and then a few skeptic books like James Randi, Richard Dawkins, etc. But if it was French. And maybe some of the more nicer, open-minded skeptics.
David Clark, would you?
No, but you see, Clark. Well, French. Take French for example. I mean, French, unlike most skeptics, is not an insufferable twat. And he probably has a lot of hardcore skeptic books, and he probably has a lot of science books on psychology. But he probably has some of the same books that Miles and I have, and Colin have, and some of these DVDs and videos as well. Because at least he has studied our side of the story honestly. I mean, he doesn't agree with us, and I don't think he ever's going to. But he is at least he's respectful and open-minded, which is different to what some of the other skeptics are. Coxey would probably just have stuff supporting his own side. Cox, we know from, as I've said many times, and we've studied Cox, he's utterly ignorant of anything our side has to say, and he likes it that way. He enjoys the fact he knows nothing about what he has to say, and he's quite happy to ring fence himself from alternative information in order to say that it's all a load of nonsense, it's rubbish, anyone who believes that is a knobber and things like that. He wants to be able to do that, and he can do that by not looking at anything we have to say. He's like a Ramona. He's like that indeed. So with French and Cox, I imagine we'll have very different bookshelves. That's my view. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. It's been a real treat just looking through the titles of these. We are going to watch a couple.
I just found the Michael Hesper. What was it? The Michael Hesper one. Had some good stuff on.
That's an old German. Thanks, Miles. Thank you very much, mate. We're just setting up the studio at the moment. But we're going to watch this later. We're going to watch this.
We're going to watch.
We are. Yeah, we're going to do a brand new 2-camera chroma key live stream, and Colin and I are going to be honoured to be the presenters of it. So it's a new experiment for Miles. And there's another. We're going to watch this particular. There's also this one. There's this one
we did that,
watch.
didn't we? Yeah, we just.
There's also. Where's that one with Greer?
Oh, the Greer. Yeah. It's VHS. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, we're going to hopefully watch this one if we can get Miles, persuade him to rig up the player, because this is extremely rare. We just googled it and it's not online. This could well be the only recording of Dr. Stephen Greer in Leeds in 2000. So this is something we're going to hopefully watch, and I think Miles should actually preserve that.
I think a lot of the Leeds ones just aren't available. I mean, probably missing a trick not putting that online, because I think... Because wasn't there all that fuss about trying to get hold of the Georgina Bruni video? But,
yes. I mean, for the sake, not just for his own sake, but...
Yeah,
so,
no.
I was going to say...
There must be somewhere, the original...
For the sake of simply preservation of these pieces of UFO classic material, these things should be uploaded, I would say, because it's just so important. I mean, I imagine now in a 2000 video would there not be a copyright issue with it. I mean, all of Anthony Beckett's stuff you can find online on various channels. But this is fascinating. It's fascinating stuff, I'd say. Secret NASA transmissions, a smoking gun. Oh yeah, this is David Sarida's, isn't it?
No, this was the one that came the UFO magazine. They did quite a big Phil Graham Birdsall.
The most popular underground tape among astronauts. Oh yeah. Oh, this is all the different space shuttles.
This is March 11th. I think it was the Tether incident and all that sort of stuff. Secret national. This is quite a big. Well, it's not a big deal at the time. But this is the NTSC. I don't know why, for some reason, it's the NTSC version. So
that is amazing, and it's in its wrong-sized case. That's probably a limited edition.
Yeah,
that's probably. I mean, you can get those on YouTube. I've seen them, but that is probably a limited edition, and Miles should hang on to that definitely. And Miles just told us that these New World Order Illuminati things that I showed you earlier, Vladimir Tarzinski, are the original Montauk interviews, and they're in their original VHS format, and that has got to be amazing. It's incredible. Colin and I are kind of the Gemma Besant of UFO documentaries, because we're going down like archaeologists, digging deep into one's long past, which we haven't seen for ages.
Because the reason why I want to read it back for you, because it's quite interesting and it's quite a controversial case about, because you're watching Michael Schratt videos over the weekend. If you don't know who Michael Schratt is, he's heavily into looking at these advanced aircraft and things like that. And there was this incident in Sheffield. I believe it was 1997. Well, it was said. Let's read it about. It said, so since March 24th, 1997. This is Max Burns, by the way. He was a UFO researcher.
This is Electric Euphoria.
So this is
in 2001.
Yeah. And so what? Since March 24th, 1997, I have been investigating the most intriguing and interesting case. The investigation has developed in many directions since it began. There have been claims and counterclaims by the skeptics who have allegedly made their own investigations. During this lecture, you will see evidence that shows that it is the skeptics who have been less than honest in their interpretation. It has now been admitted by the rival researchers Andy Roberts and Dr. David Clark that they were behind an attempt to plant false information into the case. They claim it was to see who is a good researcher and who is not. Since they went to such efforts to prove me wrong, I think that this was something far more insidious. Perhaps so I would present their bogus information as fact and part of my research. Then they could step forward to discredit me and my research further down the line. I did not fall for this ruse, and they failed. However, this shows the depths that some will go to be right. All I ask is that you view and review my research, the evidence and the true facts regarding the Sheffield incidents. With regards to the behaviour of the skeptics, if it walks like a spook, talks like a spook and acts like a spook. On that note, enjoy my presentation. If you have any questions, comments, blah blah blah, you'd like to contact me for lectures. But I think the actual incident was 98.
It was earlier. It was 92, I think, or some early 90s. And I know. Well, Jason Gleaves witnessed it as well. Jason Gleaves you know him because he writes books, and of course he appeared in my Lapis report. But Jason Gleaves actually used to be in the Royal Air Force, and he was actually on guard duty at RAF Coningsby the night that happened near Sheffield. And
I suppose I think the crux
was, saw it.
But it may be that it was an experimental or back engineered or something or advanced aircraft basically.
And Michael Schratt claims that, yeah. But the problem is, once you get into the area of alien reproduction vehicles, and if you believe that the program to create them has been successful, then it's difficult to know. You can only discern really by behaviour what is ARVs and which are genuine ET. I believe some of them are genuine ET, but that very often relates to their behaviour, not just their form. I mean, in my view, it seems unlikely that...
It was a bit like the Cash Landrum one. I mean, I know Richard Doty is a controversial figure, but I think Michael Schratt sort of comes to the same conclusion that vehicle, that diamond-shaped vehicle, was being, I think it was being escorted by 22 Chinooks or something like that. So, and that would seem to me that was some sort of experimental craft. And Richard Doty claims that it was actually an ET vehicle, but they took out the drive system and were using a nuclear power generator.
They look very much like the Cash Landrum craft, which was actually in December the 29th, 1980, this was going on in Texas, USA, while the Rendlesham Forest incident was going on in Britain. What's interesting about the Cash Landrum case is it looks very much like one of the models that were made by Julie Phelps, who was our guest.
Oh, yeah, that palladium.
But you know what? It's you really, when it comes to what's ET, what's ARV. I think behaviour is an important factor here. Now, if this is an experimental craft made by humans, why is it being flown over a big city like Sheffield?
Well, yeah.
And you say the same thing for the Phoenix Lights and many, many other cases. I think you have to conclude that some of these are ET simply based on their behaviour. But it's interesting. He mentions he mentioned old Roberts and Clark, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Now, I always say you've got to be very, very careful about making accusations of the type that Max has made. But if you have evidence, then make them. By all means, make them. If there are real shills in our community, they need to be exposed. And if you have evidence that someone's a shill, put the evidence forward. Subject it to my tribunal. If you watch my Shill Squad 3 tribunal, it's a good way of getting the infiltrators and the agents and these agents provocateurs and getting them out, basically. That's what's about. What's the Panic Project? Area 51?
I know. Well, Norio Hayakawa, he was quite, he's sort of very sceptical now, but in the early days he was actually...
Anthony J. Hilda?
He actually... he was quite interesting. He did some interesting stuff. I can't even read that because it's slightly cut off. But,
we can the viewers can always pause and read. But that's what's interesting.
Panic Project.
What's interesting? This looks like an amateur production. It's like a makeshift.
Today, America will be outraged if UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow, they will be grateful. This is special truth. They were told that there was an outside threat from beyond. Whether they were. Threatened for very. So I guess basically it was like an alien invasion.
Well, Geoffrey Griffin, in his book *The Fearful Master* about the United Nations, he doesn't bring up UFOs in it, but he does sort of say kind of what is the same thing. And Norio Hayakawa wrote, he made another very, very good documentary about Area 51, which I've got. It's called, I think it's called UFOs: The Secret, UFOs Secret Something Secret Base. But it's by this Japanese guy, Norio Hayakawa, who I know on Facebook, actually.
I think he sort of linked it to some sort of antichrist with, like, there was sort of some, like, evangelical stuff.
Well, Hilda did, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah. But now I think he's totally gone back on that. He's now very sceptical.
Is Hayakawa...
He's very sceptical. He does talk about Dulce as well. Actually, I'm friends with Norio.
Me too. He's quite sort of open on Facebook with people. You can talk to him.
No, he did. I think in the early 90s he was sort of suggesting that there would be some sort of end time, and it was connected to Area 51 or something, and they were going to create some sort of false flag messiah, alien invasion or something like to that effect. You could probably find out more about it. But
that might still happen.
Well, yeah, no, and I actually, that's one of the early ones I was. Very interested in. That's Henry Kissinger, that apparently.
Yeah, he did. That's a famous quote from him.
Yeah.
But it's quite famous. It's quite interesting. I mean, I think Colin and I ideally would like to book 2 weeks off work. Get Miles to rig off up the DVD and the VHS
player. Transfer it all to DVD or something.
And we'll just sit here with some beers, just watching videos non-stop.
And I'm sure a lot of the people watching at home would love to see some of these videos. So maybe Miles can do a film night or something where he could actually show some of these videos, like the venue we were at or something.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
He could rig up his video and then you could,
That's an excellent idea. Nice.
So I know that David Hodgin does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, Birmingham UFO Group. Yeah, you can. He does film nights where he shows. He gets the proper copyright thing sorted out, and it's not hard to get a proper copyright.
I mean, and it's free. I don't see what's wrong with showing.
If entry's free,
if you're not charging money for it, then I don't see what the problem is.
If entry's free, then you don't need the. I mean, he sorts it out and then he shows these various videos. I mean, some of them are better than others.
They look good on the big screen though, like we had on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, and the Conservative Club here in Devizes is actually a very good venue, I should point out. The people there are very open-minded. Like the people that, like the people who weren't at the conference and just normal members, they were asking me very, very good questions, and they were very positive about us being there. And it's very comfortable. There's a nice bar. It's not some big winding staircase like you get at the Black
Swan.
Swan.
Next to the Southgate pub as well. So.
Yeah, very close. And you don't have. It's not all packed in. I think the venue at the Black Swan's a bit too small. And here we have UFOs over Ireland. Is that
Major Freer production?
Is that Nally and Butler?
Sweeps. Is that Sweeps Fox?
Sweeps Fox. Yeah, he's a classic Irish ufologist. I know Sweeps goes to
Miles
Pro.
must be on it somewhere. I mean, Jesus.
I'd be
give
very
an Irish
surprised.
video with Miles not in it.
I'd be very surprised if Miles is not in there somewhere.
What's it say? Featuring Desmond Leslie, George Green. It's a good picture of Ireland there. Oh,
yeah, flying saucers over
Monster.
There's some really great cases in Ireland, actually. Planes, Aer Lingus planes being attacked by UFOs and mutilations and things like that. A couple of crash retrieval reports. Yeah, Ireland's quite a rich.
Especially part of Atlantis, isn't it?
According to what's his name, Michael Desarian. Yeah. That's good. Anyway, I think we'll be starting our recording soon, so stay tuned for that. Here are Miles' books on this shelf here. I'll just show you them. He's got loads of these. Now I've got a copy of that about the financial system. Chariots, Eric von Daniken, all the Eric von Daniken stuff. The old Silver. That's what's his name? Silver, Freddie Silver. Crop circles. Anthony Peake. UFO Files of Russia. Oh my God. Charles Bullitt's The Philadelphia Experiment. That's a classic, that is. The Philadelphia Experiment. Is that still in print? The Philadelphia Experiment is still in print. Hunt for the Skinwalker. Calm Colour. Yeah, my God. Oh, there's loads of things here. Oh, fantastic. And have a look along here. More Timothy Good's Forbidden Archaeology. That's a whopper of a book, that is. Peter Paget's book. Got a copy of that. More Timothy Good. You got Need to Know by Timothy Good, man. That's a brilliant one. That's a fantastic one. Oh man. Electromagnetism. These books are amazing. He used to have a copy of my book here, but apparently he's given it away to charity shops. Yeah. And you can see, as you see, these books are hidden behind this big Bases logo here in neon lights. But Joseph Farrell. Psychic Spies, more crop circles. You have to pull these out when you want to read these books. 9/11 Deception. Oh man. Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge. That's Greer's book there. Now the Bilderberg Group. That's Daniel Esselin. Interesting guy. Bit of a knob, but he's an interesting guy. Down here we have a few more ordinary books, but MK Ultra. Look, Spy on Michael Shrimpton. Nick Redfern, great writer, yes. Yeah. Kiss FM is actually Miles' old radio station. Used to be a pirate station here. Then McTaggart. Anne Andrews is Jason My Indigo Child. James Lovelock. Oh my God, Depop Lovelock. He's a depopulation man. He is. The Day After Was What? I've got mixed feelings about that. And Linda Moulton Howe's Alien Harvest. I mean, honestly, I'll put that back there. What amazing books. Jim Maher's Alien Agenda. I mean, I couldn't even read these damn titles, let alone read all these books. But it's an amazing collection, once again. Extraordinarily impressive with what Miles has here. Again, shoved in between all the electronic equipment. He's got an absolute goldmine of information. Now, if you're wondering where I'm sitting now, I'm sitting with this big green thing behind me, and Colin is beside me there, and there's lights and other things all around me, as you can see. That's because in a few minutes, or a few hours, I'm not sure what, for hours, Miles says. Yeah. Okay. We are going to go live on the Basis project.
I've got another T-shirt.
And,
no, it's just...
We're just, at the moment, Colin and I are just acting as models while Miles gets the lights on us. Models. You never thought you'd see me being called a model, would you? But I am.
Yeah, but you're replacing a far better one called a lamp stand, which was switched off.
That's right. He was actually using lampstands as replacements for us to get the lighting correct. So when that's done, we're going to go live on the Basis Project. If you want to see this video, go to the Basis Project, because by the time you're watching this, the recording will be on the Basis Project website, so you'll be able to watch what we're currently waiting to go on air to film. But we're going to go live on the Basis Project. Colin's going to interview me. You sit, and it'll be like before, and you won't see this green stuff behind us. Instead, you'll see a beautiful picture. We won't be able to see it. Yeah, something called what's it called? Chroma key. Because of chroma key, this thing that Miles has got, you'll see a beautiful picture of Silbury Hill, and it'll look like we're sitting by Silbury Hill. Only for us.
No, Silbury Hill will actually be in the studio.
It will. Right.
Silbury Hill.
We're dragging Silbury Hill. We're digging it up and we're putting it in the studio. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. So to go to the Basis Project website, and by the time it'll already be up on the Basis Project website.
Controversial behaviour.
Yeah, if it isn't taken down by YouTube, it will be on there, and you can watch it. By the time you watch this, the recording will be there for you to see. So we're just going to sit here for a while and have lights shone on us, and I'm going to drink a cup of coffee. Miles is like getting very frustrated as he sets the lighting up there, as you can see. Hopefully it'll be lights, camera, action very soon. We just finished now. What's the time? What time is it, Colin?
It's 8:25.
It's 8:25. We've just done an hour and a quarter. 2 and a quarter hours live stream on the Basis Project. We're knackered. We've now having a well-earned beer.
Well, yes.
You might like these things.
That sounds like Trump.
Yeah, look at these.
That's a firm maybe. Give me a Y, give me an E, give me a yeah!
Oh, try the no one.
Did it go well?
Yeah.
N-O.
Yes, he did. It went perfect.
That sounds like Trump, actually.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. It went very well indeed, and lots of people watched. Thanks to everyone for watching, and thanks to Miles for doing it, to setting it all up, and for Colin and I. Colin and I basically did like a dialogue with Miles butting in every now and again. Well, all the time, butting in all the time. Well, it was. If you want to watch it, go to the Basis Project channel, Megawatts 1066. You can watch it there, and it's easy to find. By the time this video is uploaded, the recording of it will be available. And I'm bloody knackered, but I tell you what, it went quick and it was really great fun. So I'm going to have this well-earned beer now, as is Miles and Colin, and then we're going to probably have something to eat and sit down and watch something, like watch one of these DVDs.
Third generation.
Well, what we've done is we've now got this. You may not recognise this. This is actually a VHS player. We're getting into ancient technology here because Miles and Colin and I have decided to watch this exclusive 2000 appearance in Leeds of Dr. Stephen Correa. So this is a real piece of UFO history. This is an exclusive. We're seeing probably what people haven't seen for years. This may be the only recording in existence. And so, yeah, we're ready to watch that modest man, that incredibly modest.
We'll probably get a copyright strike from Enigma because it's got the music of Enigma.
Oh, God, yeah. That country doctor from North Carolina, yeah. So, yeah, pretty something. It's about 7:30 in the morning at Miles's house. It's Tuesday, and I've got to go home. I've got to go back to normality. The weather forecast is awful, one of the worst we've had this year. It's going to rain continuously from now until whenever. And, yeah, there's a shadow moving in. A big depression settling on us. Oh, God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've now left Miles's place. We've just come out of Devices, and we are following the Miles Mobile because we're going to go and check something out. Now, this is something that happened on Saturday when we arrived, when Miles was out with Julie before we arrived. He and Julie noticed something rather strange, and so we're going to go and just take a look and see if it's still there. If it is, and if it isn't, I will tell you all about it. But Miles knows where this is and we don't, so we're following him.
This is important.
Churchill. I've actually been in the crop circle in that film.
Yes. Now, the point is, Julie was struck suddenly that the formation of the layout of these hills indicates under the White Horse and that monument there is a big ET craft underneath this hill, right here, right where we are now, right in that whole area. Okay?
Yeah.
So what we're going to now is Yatesbury Field. The Yatesbury Field is where you take the microlights to fly off to see the crop circles. But there are a number of buildings there which are still active. Now, on Saturday, when we went up here, the first thing she said, Jesus, is that she could see from the shape that there's a big ET craft here.
Oh, look.
So we then turned left to go down to where see, just over here, we just passed where the old Crop Circle Cafe used to be, and that was one of the
Silent Circle. Yes, I remember the Silent Circle.
Really
Yeah,
wonderful.
before the barge,
Now,
that was the Crop Circle
where that
Central.
car's parked is where when I was doing the edit with about the grid keeper, and he referred to this monument, which is that monument, right? Okay. I turned up here. I got my camera, and I turned up here to park there just to get a little bit of video of what the grid keeper referred to about the monuments, and just get some pretty pictures like you're doing right now. At exactly the same time, another car came down here and met me just after I parked there. And these two guys got out because I was going to do a fast blast just like what you're doing now, except I brought a tripod. So I set it up to do the fast blast just to get the video for the edit with the grid keeper. These guys got out. One had black hair and heavy rimmed glasses, and he had a classic sort of old style coat with the leather elbows. And they all started taking pictures just to say that the other guy was a military guy, bald hair, green, with military uniform on that you would wear in an office. Oh, yeah. And what they said was, he's even brought his bloody tripod.
Oh my God.
They knew what you were doing.
No, they brought me here. They did Voice to Skull. It's not a coincidence. We both met at exactly the same time. Yeah. And that's where Julie says there is an ET craft, because the shape, she recognised that there was something about the shape of the geography, that underneath there's a huge thing. So we're going to go up there now to Yatesbury.
That's honestly because David Percy, the Owlish.com Mars Mystery video, says a whole lot about that particular hill. Yeah. It's too much to talk about now, but I tell you, it's a massive amount.
So that's her instant recall ET craft there. Okay.
Right. Okay. You know, this big hill that we've just shown, I think I actually filmed there before. Now, it's an amazing place. You go up there, and not only is there that strange war memorial, a big phallic masculine obelisk to channel masculine energy into the area, but you also have the white horse. Now, it's a kind of naturalistic white horse. I think it's more recent. I think it's like a 19th century reproduction. But of course, white horses on hills, you know, the original Uffington white horse, which dates back to the Iron Age. Again, ancient symbols. It's a recreation of an ancient motif when it comes to landscape art. And there's also the ground up there is pockmarked with craters. It's very irregular. It's an irregular surface up there, and that's because for many years the Royal Flying Corps in World War I, and indeed the Royal Air Force after that, leading up to probably up to World War II or so, used that hillside for target practice. They set up targets and they had to drop bombs and things on there. Again, it's a masculine thing. It's martial, and I mentioned the Mars Mystery with David Percy. If you ever watch, I don't think it's on YouTube actually, but there's a VHS of it. It might be now. It's by Owlish.com. The amazing thing about it is they say they don't say there's an extraterrestrial spacecraft buried under there, but they do say that essentially is tailored. It's like a kind of scenery. It's actually an earthworks that is specifically designed. It's not natural features. It is built. It is dug that way into that shape, rather like to create a kind of scenery on a set. And the reason is because it represents the location in the Mars mirror. Do you remember me talking about the 14:1 scale reproduction of Cydonia on Mars? It represents the area known as the city. There's these collection of pyramids, and if you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, it's a long, complicated subject, and I don't have time to explain it in detail. But simply go to YouTube and put in Mars Mirror. You'll have lectures by people like Richard Hoagland. He explains it very, very well indeed. So it's really remarkable that Julie and well, David Percy and myself have all noticed strange things about that particular hill. So we're now following Miles to the next location of interest.
Base.
Holy shit, there's like fucking Montauk, look at it. There's fencing.
Those flags have been up. That's the first time those flags have been there.
Private property keep out, warning to the public.
Yeah. So this is an active military zone.
This building site is...
Yeah.
I'm just going to get a closer look at that sign, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
But this is, look, there's fences around here. There's fences around it. Look, there's a huge, very high fences. Private property, keep out. Like, alright. Builder. It says it's a building site, but it doesn't look like a building site to me, Miles.
Well, all I know is that's been refurbished. The other little building at the top, just as we came in, has all been refurbished and is active. And this is where we had the Crop Circle Cafe a little bit there.
Yeah.
And
I remember the sign.
that was a practically a brand new RAF.
Yeah, there's a...
Here, there.
Did you see the flag? Did you see the flag flying?
That's the point.
Yeah,
That's never been there until
It's
now.
at the other end of the building, but we'll show it. I'll film it. I'll
yeah.
give it a shot.
This means this is an active RAF site.
Yeah, it's flying the RAF ensign.
Yeah.
So it looks like a factory. This building. There's a hedge currently hiding
Might be able to just pull over
fence.
there.
Yeah. And we're just gonna get out of the car and show you something very interesting. Let's show you something very interesting.
See the flag.
Yeah. There's something rather extraordinary about this. Let's get out of the car and show you. It's a lovely area, just in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you might even be able to get a view.
Just got to get out quickly. It's a lovely area in the middle of nowhere. But look at this, Hangar 45. Hangar 45. And it looks active over there. There's a intact windows, looks like an office, satellite dish. And we go over here, and we see, firstly, a security gate. There's like a... That there is like a combination lock pad, and flying above it is the ensign of the Royal Air Force, which means this is an active RAF facility. I don't want to like, obviously I don't want to get disappear, you know. I mean, there's no valour in being a false martyr, but I'm sure I'm being monitored carefully on CCTV right now. There's what looks like some kind of antenna. I hear noises there. There's something going on there. But that's quite something. So what's going on here, I don't know, but there's cars parked in the car park, you see there. And there's this, probably an automatic gate there. Yep. So very interesting indeed. And Julie, who's ex-RAF herself, knows this. Okay, I've been checking the mirror actually, because it's been a little bit nerve-wracking. I got very bad vibes off that location we've just been to. I did feel it's obviously the security is very tight. I felt I was being watched. I felt that I was looking at something I shouldn't be looking at, and there were probably people in there thinking that I know more than I should. And so I'm glad to say it doesn't look like we've been followed. We're about to go past Silbury Hill, which is always nice for clearing the bad vibes. You saw it on the chroma key if you watched Miles Johnston's little interview with us. And so it looked like we were sitting behind. It looks like we were sitting by Silbury Hill, but actually we were just sitting behind a green curtain. However, we are by the real thing now, and there's this nice little flood you get around the base of it because there's a bit of a floodplain there.
Little motors.
Yeah, this beautiful old ancient monument, this ancient hill, man-made structure here in the middle of the West Country. And yeah, Colin, that's quite something. It's been a good weekend, I'd say. Did you?
I had a great time.
You had fun. What was your impressions of the conference and everything else?
I think it was, I think we had like 4 speakers. Including you, Ben. Was it 4 or 5?
It was 4, yeah.
Okay, so
Me, Jane.
but no, it was great. I mean, I didn't know Julie Phelps before this weekend, and I still haven't seen her video, but I think she's quite sincere. I must say, but
she's a pleasant, likeable person, and I felt that she sounded sincere to me. Of course, it's difficult when people don't have documents and direct evidence of what their story tells, but I've heard a lot of male cow excrementers over the years, and she doesn't sound like one of them. she sounds sincere. She has no reason, she has no motive for making things up. I mean, this is the important point that when skeptics,
Exactly,
I mean, skeptics tend to mouth off quite a bit about how we're seeking fame and fortune, but you know very well that it's usually notoriety and no fortune, or loss of fortune. So she's an intelligent woman. She's been educated, trained. She's in engineering, psychology, things like that. She's been in the Royal Air Force. She worked for Marconi, and she's trained in psychology. So, what's she got to gain from making up stories about reptilians and aliens?
No, and she did lose her husband through, very horrific. There we go. Yeah, no, it's quite disturbing stuff. I mean, if you watch the video, you might have seen her videos now. Miles has done two parts which are already up. Not of this weekend, but the actual. He Skyped with her from Lancashire, where she now lives. But yeah, I think she's got a lot to say, and it was very interesting hearing it. But yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a great weekend. I mean, well, that was. We've had such a great time this weekend, and the people who attended, the attendees, the speakers, including your good self, Ben. There, I thought, like I said, I thought your talk was, the best one you've done.
Cheers, buddy.
And people can watch that, obviously, or they may have seen it already. So
yeah, it'll be on this. It's on this particular video, of course, but also Miles is doing his own version.
Miles will be doing.
Oh, but he's doing his own version of all the talks.
Yeah, that might take. I mean, he's had a bit of issues, unfortunately, with his GoPros, and he's suffered some burnout for Julie. Whether that's suspicious or, I don't know. But
he does seem to suffer from an excess.
If there is people who can fire weapons of some, exotic sort of. To shut down equipment, and then they probably are going to be aimed at Mars. To be fair, I mean, I don't think because he's bringing this information to lots of people who are going to see it. Who obviously can't be here, and it goes around the world, and everyone sees his videos, and that's why he's done such a good thing since '94, since he started his basis projects with Barry King and all that. So he's providing a service to humanity, and we should support him. So hopefully next time there'll be even more people attending, hopefully at the same venue, because I think, like you said, Ben, it was a great venue for this conference. It was a great
very good. Yes, he's really found a great place.
And like I said, he could even show some of his classic VHS collection there, because we were watching a couple of those last night, weren't we?
Quite somebody saw
Stephen Greer, circa 19. No, it was 2000.
2000, yeah.
Circa 2000.
Well, we saw Alex Collier, 1995, looking very. I saw a young, long-haired guy who I didn't recognise at first as Alex Collier.
We were trying to work out why the UFO magazine video was such poor quality, and I think it was just literally produced very poorly, because we put on the older one, and it was pretty much, they didn't have any of that. What looked like sort of, blemishes on the screen and tracking issues. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was great. I've got mixed feelings about Dr. Stephen Greer, but I mean, it was quite. Yeah, I felt sort of like privileged to see what probably not many people have seen, and probably no one will see again. Unless Miles chooses to copy to convert the file and upload it somewhere, which I don't think would be any copyright issues with that these days. But it's quite remarkable.
It was actually a replacement, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't even the main speed. He replaced Michael Lindemann, I think, on that 2000 was.
I don't think he'd put up with that these days.
No.
You're replacing. I won't be standing for someone else, man.
Well, I'd like to see. He played a video clip, didn't he, with lots of UFO bits and pieces that people may be familiar with, and I'd like to see that in higher definition quality, because there was some classic. And I think he said he used that to show to various groups, agencies, to sort of persuade them to back, this movement. And of course, a year later, he was doing his disclosure thing in was it Washington, wasn't it?
That was actually the following year, May 2001. What's interesting is that he refers to a meeting he had. He and Leslie Kane and Dr. Edgar Mitchell went to the Department of Defense and spoke to several officials. We now know that one of them was Admiral Thomas Wilson, and Wilson actually has backed that up, well, at least allegedly backed that up in this memo that he may or may not have written, But well, it's Dr. Eric Davies who says so. But that was something I brought up in my talk. What do you think of Jane's talk, Jane Shattuck?
And yeah, very good. I mean, she talked about some of the books that she's been assessing, such as William Milton Cooper, Behold a Power Horse, which I have seen reference to it, but I don't think I've actually personally read, if I'm honest. I know it's seen as an absolute classic.
Oh, it is. It's a principal piece of the conspiratorial canon, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a book you could buy for people just if they've never heard of it before, you know.
There was a couple of other. There was the Elders of Zion, which you've talked about, or maybe you haven't talked about, but also another book, and we forget what that was.
I can't remember what it's called. It's a rare book.
Something about war.
Yeah. We're back in Marlborough. It's the weather's very similar. It's not foggy, but it's raining. But yeah, I've done an entire video about the protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion and all these issues associated with it. It's called Jews, and you can watch that on my channel. I actually differ from Jane quite considerably when it comes to that particular book, because people claim it's a hoax. I understand why people think that, because there's no doubt that it has been copied. I mean, it has been copied from other published sources. Sergei Nilis, the publisher, in 1902, I believe, he basically copied and pasted a lot of the material from several novels, actually just fictional novels, Biarritz by Hermann Goethe, Dialogue in Hell by Maurice Joly, and the Simonini letters by, I can't remember the author's name.
You certainly know more than I do.
But, you know, I mean, the question has to be, well, maybe where did those authors get their ideas from? Because it's a complicated thing, but as I said, it names the accusers, it names the perpetrators of the New World Order. And in my film Jews, I explain why it names them wrongly. It blames the Jews, and it's quite, it's almost like a pat thing, you know, oh, you're anti-Semitic, you think the Jews are behind the New World Order. Well, I think they're not, the Jews are not behind the New World Order, and this is where I think that several interpretations of the protocols, the interpreters and analysers have got it wrong, and Jane is one of them. But she's correct she explains how she's not an anti-Semite, and I believe her. She says she herself actually has Jewish ancestry in her female line, which technically makes her Jewish, so she cannot be anti-Semitic against herself. And she says, like, I've got Jewish friends and things like that. So I don't believe she is an anti-Semite. I do not believe that if you're Jewish and you're watching this, I don't believe you should consider Jane Shattuck your enemy. She's not. But the methodology in the protocols, I think, is extremely revealing about not the perpetrators of the New World Order, but the techniques the perpetrators use. It misidentifies the perpetrators, but it completely and utterly correctly lists the methodology that they use. And you see it in there's some more modern publications, such as Silent Weapons for a Quiet War, Report from Iron Mountain, Unveiling Them, The Secret Covenant, that essentially are modern versions of the same thing. So that's how I see it. But it's very interesting talk. She's a lovely, well-spoken lady, and you know. So, what did you think of Christine Hart, Colin?
Christine Hart, she was on the Skype, so she wasn't there in person, sadly, and we had some audio issues. Not audio issues. Well, maybe we did have audio issues as well, but we had the video issue where we couldn't see her. But so yeah, again, very interesting. If you're familiar with Joanna, I've heard a couple of her shows. I'm not an expert on what she's, but I'm familiar. But you know, she had this connection as a journalist. She's written a couple of books actually about growing up in a convent, and I think she had some involvement in doing a sort of investigation on the IRA, and she's also had some. I think you know she has that intuition and psychic ability herself, which probably brought her into these subjects. I think she was experiencing these things when she was a young child as well. But,
yeah, she's psychically sensitive.
Yeah, and she's obviously she's done interviews with Max and James Caswell, Max Spears, James Caswell, and you know. So she's up with, you know, I think she does a radio show. Does she still do the radio show?
Whether she does or still or not, I know she used to do a very good show, which I used to listen to sometimes. I don't know if she still does, but it's a real. Her story is like a real life sort of Len Dayton, Frederick Forsyth thriller. She is basically infiltrated various secret organisations, including the IRA, and she found out quite interestingly that a senior figure at the IRA was actually an MI6 agent, or an MI something, an intelligence agent of some description. And this fits in with a lot of other scandals, such as the Agent State Knife scandal, and indeed another spy thriller writer, Craig Thomas, has written a very, very good book called Harry's Game. It was was it Harry's Game? Yeah, it was called Harry's Game. That was turned into a TV series, the music by Enya, if you remember that, and very famous score. And it's about that very thing, about a man who goes undercover, senior in the IRA, and is actually working for British intelligence. And we see this repeated again all over the world, as we see in the current days with Al Qaeda and ISIS. People like Bin Laden, al-Baghdadi. Guess what? We have to suspect them as being agents of the West, of CIA, Mossad, MI5, and we see the same thing with the IRA. In a sense, this country, Britain, is running its own opposition. Secretly behind the scenes, it is managing and leading its own enemies. It's a recurring theme, isn't it, Colin, throughout the politics of the world?
Yeah. It's going to shock a lot of people who are,
Yeah, especially people like who have lost relatives to bombings and things like that, especially in Northern Ireland, but across the world. People in the United States who've been giving money to the IRA,
I suppose it goes with all, the world wars and that. There all seem to be some sort of big, obviously fought for other reasons. That when we're told that the ones that we're told about, I think there's other reasons that these wars are started, and I guess they all start from sort of big false flag type events, really.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I've noticed that all the major terrorist attacks on the British mainland that were blamed on the IRA. There doesn't seem to be any evidence the IRA did it. I mean, the main ones, I think, the Birmingham and Guildford bombings. The suspects were eventually released from jail on appeal. Now, if the suspects are now appeal, is the case been reopened? Where are the real culprits? Because there was 10 guys actually convicted and spent about a decade in jail when they were released on appeal. But we haven't. It's all this way. We haven't heard that the case has been reopened. It's like Jill Dando. If you watch the Rich Planet show on Jill Dando, the guy who was convicted of it was actually released a few years later. He had an appeal, which he won, and was released from jail. Guess what? the killer is still free, and we don't hear about it in the news. The guy who they got, who had all the publicity, has been set free, and now we just don't hear anything about it. So it's
nothing suspicious there.
Yeah, I think what Christine's found out, is actually crucial. Now I enjoyed interviewing her. Now I must say, I only found out I was interviewing Christine and Joanna Hart when Miles happened to mention it in his interview with Julie on he was already up on his channel. I felt a bit annoyed actually, because he didn't come to me and say, "Ben, do you want to interview Christine Hart?" I'd probably have said yes. In fact, I would have said yes, but he kind of assumed it and just put it on his video. I was slightly annoyed, not seriously, just slightly, but actually, it was fun, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad Miles. I thank Miles for that opportunity. And to be honest, it wasn't really an interview, because Christine is she's very easy to interview. She's one of these people, I always say, when you're interviewing somebody, you push them and they roll downhill. Which in other words means the interviewer has to do almost nothing. You just say, "Hi, how are you? Telling me about yourself," and then they just give you this monologue, and you just sit back and listen. And you try to think of good questions to ask, and 20 minutes later, when they pause for breath, you ask them. She's a very easy person to interview. I wasn't really an interviewer actually. I was more just like the MC of her monologue. And I just interjected a couple of times with a couple of my own questions and questions from the audience. So it was good for her. It was good that she was there.
Yeah.
And we've already discussed Judy Phelps.
We were hoping that David Griffin was going to be there, but it's quite elusive, David. So,
Extremely, yeah.
Sadly, there was a shame. Even by Skype would have been good, but maybe that's for another time.
Yeah. You hear an awful lot about people trying to find Bigfoot. Well, it's actually it's much more challenging to try and find David Griffin, because both of them live in the woods.
Like the fabled Griffin, maybe.
Both of them live in
chance of finding a real Griffin.
Yeah, exactly. Both of them live in the woods and don't talk to many people, and if you try to find them, they sort of disappear. Yeah, I mean, David is someone. Funny enough, he emails me every so often. I reply and I think, "Hey, David, great, how are you?" And silence again for another 6 months, and he emails me again. But it would have been nice if David was there, because he's a very interesting chap. You'll remember from my previous bases, and not the previous one, a few bases project videos ago, that Colin and I went sky watching with David on Knapp Hill.
We saw some stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, strange light. I mean, using the night vision camera that David has. Knapp Hill is the highest point in Wiltshire, and we had a beautiful clear night. And David was doing like the I better not say what they're actually called for various legal reasons. He was doing the protocols envisaged by a certain muscly, very modest doctor from North Carolina, who will remain nameless, who charges a lot of money for this sort of thing, he was doing these protocols, and some really amazing things happened. I mean, we saw some remarkable things.
We always, you always see some. I've seen stuff over at Knapp Hill. It's a real hotspot. You get a few crops, so he looks over. Is it Adam's Grave? Is that the one where?
Adam's Grave. It's near the Eastfield. Yeah, we're looking over Eastfield. You've got to be a bit careful, because you can see the Defence Training Estate on Salisbury Plain. So you'll get a couple of flares in that direction, military flares and things like that, and the aircraft, helicopters, etc. But what we saw was not in that direction. David knows what he's doing when it comes to sky watching. Rather like that Christopher Martin, who you were.
Yeah, we watched
the video of him. Yeah,
that was good, interesting. So in Graham Birdsall, we watched a little clip from 2003 where what was it on? It was on Richard and Judy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that sadly was the year he died in September, and I'm not sure we actually said, but obviously that was 2003, and he looked pretty healthy, as Miles was saying. I mean, he didn't look. There's no signs that there was anything.
He was slightly overweight.
He was only
not excessively so.
But he was only 49. So
it's very sad. I mean, Graham Birdsall was the guy who ran
certain conspiracy theory.
He ran UFO magazine, and they apparently did loads of conferences. When we were watching this year 2000 conference with Greer from Leeds, he said it was the 19th UFO Truth Magazine conference, and I thought, amazing, this means he's been doing this for at least 19 years. Before 2000, I mean, that's before I was sort of like, I was a kiddie, And then he died suddenly at the age of 49, and it was very sad, Colin. It was very sad, and
it was basically a companion of Pape's. I think Chris Martin had, not to be confused with the singer of Coldplay, of course, but this was Chris Martin. He was a kind of.
He was a chap from London. I think what he is. I mean, he's gone quiet now, but about 20-25 years ago.
Funny enough, he's involved in music. I think he's in a few bands and stuff, but not Coldplay. But he met his girlfriend, and she was trying to make contact with ETs, and he got brought into the subject. And I don't know if he split up with her or whatever, but he was continuing to experience things. And I remember, because I went on a Skywatch. I think I mentioned it on one of your earlier things you talked about going into seeing stuff over Primrose Hill.
This was a chap from London.
If you check some of his videos, it is, and
he's got some.
Graham Birdsall was very much interested in that footage.
He's got some interesting stuff actually, like including light, luminosities, but also structured white objects in daylight skies, including similar to the one I saw in December 2008. And he's been publishing this, and he ended up on several news programs. Well done for him to do that. He had his debunkers, Philip Mantle appears in one of the stories saying how it's all aircraft and kites and things like that. And looking at from what I've seen, based on what Chris has published, I don't think that's the case.
No.
You can once you get star sky watching, you pretty much learn. You get used to. You always make mistakes to begin with. You see Chinese lanterns and planes, and you think they're aliens. when you get used to the nice guy, the nice guy is something most people don't even look at.
Yeah.
Then you can sort out the known from the unknown much more easily. And Chris was very experienced. No, David Griffin, he did it an awful lot. So, all in all, Colin, I'd say that was one of Miles's best ones.
It was really, and considering it was such short notice, it just shows you sometimes things can be less stressful if you organise it at short notice, have a good venue, convenient places to walk to from the, such as a pub and places to eat, and parking facilities. So I think it's definitely a runner for future events, and I think Miles was quite impressed with it as well. So he had his big projection screen up, so you could play videos. He was showing Julie on the screen before it started. So yeah, all in all, I agree 100%, Ben. It's a bit of a runner for future events. Definitely, and we all had a great time. So sadly when it comes to an end, but all things come to an end, good and bad. Bad things come to an end as well. So don't just think it's all about good things coming to an end, because certainly a lot of bad things are coming to an end as well. So
yeah, definitely. All I can say, I can't add much to what I've already said about this conference, except to say, yes, it was one of Miles's big successes. It's come, as I said in my talk, it's come at a very auspicious time. The perfect time, I think, to get involved in things like this publicly. We had a nice crowd of people who were quite large in number, and also very very good-natured piece group of people. Some old, some new, some old, and like I said, speakers were, in all modesty, the speakers were all of good quality and very interesting. The venue was fantastic. The people at the venue were great, very open-minded, very friendly and accommodating. So well done to the venue, the Devices District Conservative Club. It's reasonable value. It's very good value. I mean, see, Miles could have justified maybe selling tickets for a tenner each for that short, admittedly quite short conference. But he asked for donations only, and people were coming in and giving like 20, 30, 40 pounds. And they were doing it perfectly willingly. I didn't haggle, I just said, well, give us what you can afford. That's all I said, and they gave me what I could afford. Right. The smallest donation I got was a £5.
It was a good way of doing it.
From one person. No one else gave less than £10. And the average is probably about 20 to £30. Someone gave 40. I hope Miles takes heart from that, because I don't know how much he charged, but I must have taken a good few hundred from behind the desk, and I believe that Miles... Did you say yeah? Oh no, 400 yards. I hope Miles can take... Oh, it's bloody... Sorry. The sat-nav's interrupting me. I hope Miles can take heart from the knowledge that he has friends and supporters, and he's not alone. He really is not. Because I tell you what, I think he must have felt quite alone over the last couple of years. With everything that's been happening in terms of the enemies that he's made, and the former friends who just decided it's just too much bother hanging around this guy. It's not cool to be seen with him anymore, and so they drop him like a hot potato and they bolt for the door. And unfortunately, a lot of them did that. But there's people who stuck by him, me and Colin. And today, this weekend, I hope he has learnt. There's many, many more who've stuck by him.
Exactly.
So I think this has been a character building experience. This has certainly been a character building experience. Oh, shut up. Okay. I was going to say, I hope this has certainly been a character building experience for me and Colin. I hope it has been a comforting and inspiring experience for Miles, and it has been a team building and relationship building experience for everyone, I think, who came along. I think everyone would. I don't believe anyone can possibly have turned up at that event and not felt that sense of brotherhood and camaraderie, which can only come from minorities and unusual and rather fringe people getting together and spending time together. And so, thanks very much, Miles, for a great conference. Thank you for everyone who came along. Thanks for everyone who came along, and I can't wait for the next one. Okay, Colin and I have just passed Farringdon. We're on the A, whatever it is, between Swindon and Oxford, and like A420, and I'm getting that kind of like feeling of, it's like coming up from the depths of the ocean, and you've got to get onto dry land, and there's no decompression chamber or anything like that. I'm going back to my normal life.
As normal as it can be, I guess.
Yeah, my normal life, and that means I've basically got to go home, change my shoes, get my gardening gloves and tools, and go out to work. And luckily, I've had this morning's work cancelled because of weather and stuff like that. But I've still got a couple of jobs to do this afternoon, so I've got to jump right in the deep end of normality. So it's a post-probe blues or post-conference blues. Really very extreme version of that. And of course, I'm feeling the usual. You know the song by Sophie the Porter's Poet and the Black Goo. The M6 is backed up. The chairs are all stacked up.
Very good song, actually.
I got the post-pro blues. So I'm like that. It's good, isn't it?
It's very good.
I love it. It's really great with the Black Goo. So I'm like that at the moment. So what I'll probably do is put that song on my earphones, because, well, I am lucky because I've got the kind of job where I can actually listen to things on my earphones while I am working. So I always put on a good radio show. I put on a bit of Richard Dolan or Steve Bassett or Andrew Johnson or something like that, and I play that while I'm working. So when I'm working, I'm not really working. My mind, my mind is still on. I never have to take time off mentally from the woo stuff, as Paul Armstrong calls it.
You've got like a drip feed into your head for 24 hours.
I do, yes, I do. I have continuous woo. I literally do nothing else. It's not like I don't go to the football, I don't go down the pub.
The only thing you have withdrawal symptoms when you're away from it for too long.
I do, yes, and I do. And
How long has you been without woo before?
Probably my daughter's birthday party, which was in March which was almost a year ago, or 9 months ago, and then I just basically did Louisa's things, because we had Louisa's friends around, and because I'm the kind of dad who can like party with her daughter, she invited me, and we just did her sort of thing, it was so yeah. I am a 24/7 loony, and so Paul Armstrong is absolutely right there. So I'll make sure I put something UFO related on my earphones when I've got something already loaded. I won't be able to load anything because I don't have time to start the computer, but I have some files on there which I can listen to, which are woo related, UFO kind of basis project related. So that's my next step. So it won't be too bad, and believe it or not, the sun is trying to come out as well. So despite the horrible weather forecast, we may even have a bit of sunshine. So it ain't that bad, Colin, is it?
That's almost unheard of.
Yeah, so I'm not that bad. I mean, the thing about post-pro blues is it lasts about 24 hours maximum, and then you're all right. It's like a hangover, basically. It's like a hangover. You get over it quickly, and you're back to normal. You're ready for more.
You'll have a new fix of something else. Something will come up, breaking story or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I've got this video to edit when I get home.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, definitely. So I'm not complaining, but it's now just past the 11-mile sign to Oxford, so I'll be able to get to work on time. That's the good thing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, see you later. So that was my reportage of the Bases Micro Conference, November 2019. So thanks very much, Colin, for being a part of this.
Thank you, Ben. Look forward to the next adventure.
Thanks very much for being in this video, and thanks all of you Panwo TV viewers for watching. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.